Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
As predicted around 9:12 yesterday morning when we had the great Bill Colarulo on, I said, don't worry, Bill. You're going to have breaking news during your show today, and you're going to be able to put your feet up and take care of the rest.
He did.
That breaking news was the Philadelphia Eagles deciding to remove Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. Notice I said remove Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator because there is still not an official statement about whether or not he's been removed from the building. Good morning, John Kincade. How are you?
Good morning to you, and a day that we expected, a story we expected, and a story that had to happen.
Yeah, it absolutely had to happen. The Eagles offense that has, depending on how you look at it, one of the most expensive offenses in the NFL, top 10, number one, depending on whether your average annual salary, the overall total amount of money, however you look at it, the Eagles, it doesn't matter how much money is being spent on that team. They could all be playing for free. There's so much talent on that offense, and for them to have had the extremely disappointing season that they had since week one on offense is a reason why you had to make this decision. The statement by head coach Nick Sirianni, quote, I have decided to make a change at offensive coordinator. I met with Kevin today to discuss the difficult decision as he is a great coach who has my utmost respect. He has been an integral to this team's success over the last 5 years, not only to the on-field product, but behind the scenes as a valued leader for our players and organization. I have no doubt he will continue to have a successful coaching career. Ultimately, when we fall short of our goals, that responsibility lies on my shoulders. Yeah, it also lies on your shoulders that you were a big reason why he became the offensive
He was
coordinator.
the only reason. He was the only coach in the entire NFL who was going to give Kevin Patullo the opportunity. He's the only one who did, and he did it out of friendship. He did it out of friendship. He did it out of obligation. He did not do it out of demand, because when all the candidates that are looking for jobs right now, all the offense coordinator candidates, they're all being compared and being contrasted against each other because of what they bring to the table. Will any team, there are 8 teams right now looking for offense coordinators, I believe 8 other ones. Mm-hmm. Will any one of them interview Kevin Patullo?
No, he will never be an offensive coordinator in the National Football League ever again.
So, I mean, that's all you needed to know. I knew it. A lot of people knew it before it ever happened, and now after it happened. And that's on Nick Sirianni. Yeah. That's all on him. And look.
And don't give me the February excuse like it was because nonsense. It was February,
if they had opened the job, and they did this on NFL Live yesterday.
If they opened the job.
If they had opened the job
there
search.
Was an open position, but they never opened the job search.
If they had went to the college ranks and said to the brightest college minds out there, would you want to be the offensive coordinator of the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles? You would have had offensive coordinators in college football that would have said, yes, please. Or you may have even had college football head coaches from lower schools, not the big schools, that are offensive minds that would have said, yes, please.
Hell, John,
I'll go do it.
You didn't have to go to college. You know there's people within the trees of McVay and Shanahan's that you could have given a shot with. And I understand somebody's going to hear that and go, well, you don't know if it would have been better, right?
Yes,
right.
I do. Well, no, I do.
Yeah, I feel comfortable saying it would have been better.
Absolutely.
But a lot of those guys had play calling experience in the past, in college, right, before making their way up to the NFL. Or at least they studied under legitimate coaches like Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. Nobody's really learning anything from calling plays under Nick Sirianni. That's just not the case. He might have a very good coaching tree, right? Shane Steichen's still a head coach in Indianapolis. Jonathan Gannon was a head coach for a couple of years. Kellen Moore now a head coach in New Orleans. Nick Sirianni has a coaching tree, but I don't think anybody learned how to run an offense under Nick Sirianni.
The weird thing is, though, is I don't consider Kellen Moore on the Nick Sirianni coaching tree.
He was. Yeah,
I mean, Kellen Moore came here with a pedigree.
Fair enough.
I mean, a big-time pedigree.
Fair
it's
enough.
like, look, Shane Steichen, I was watching, Dork Boy was watching Shane Steichen video last night with Daniel Jones and watching Shane Steichen video with the offense in 2022. And I'm saying to myself, how do you get that offense for Jalen Hurts again? How do you get somebody? Shane Steichen made Daniel Jones look amazing this year.
Yeah.
Shane Steichen made Jalen Hurts look his best he's ever looked in the NFL. We need someone who can bring that offense to the NFL.
And look, we'll go through the candidates. There's a lot of them. There's guys that make sense. There's guys that might be flashier. There's guys that we may not know much about because they are on those coaching trees that we talked about, that instead of giving one of those guys an opportunity last year, you went with an incompetent one in Kevin Patullo. We'll talk about it all show today. Your reaction to Kevin Patullo being fired as the offensive coordinator. 610-632-0975. The reason why I say that, Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network pointed it out yesterday. Look at the wording. The wording was that he was removed as the offensive coordinator. Kevin Patullo might still be a part of the Eagles coaching staff. Look, from afar, I'm fine with that, right?
Are you?
Yeah.
What if they say he's going to be your passing coordinator? Again,
to me,
he was terrible as the passing coordinator.
I don't know what he does as the passing coordinator.
Well, he was the passing coordinator a year ago, and he was terrible.
So they won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
No, but he was terrible at it. They didn't have a good passing game.
Look, so
I want him removed.
He'll be behind the scenes. Nick clearly loves him as a friend. He also loves him as a guy that's behind the scenes with the players. The players clearly love him. Jason Kelsey was almost in tears. What else is new? The other day on Monday Night Football, the countdown talking about Kevin Patullo. But here's the weird thing. If I'm Kevin Patullo, if you're Kevin Patullo, would you want to stay? I get it. Look, his family's here.
He wants a paycheck.
He's got a house. He's got a paycheck.
Yes.
You mean to tell me he couldn't get a assistant coaching job of some sort elsewhere? Or do you think is this the only spot?
At that paycheck? No.
Okay.
No, an offense coordinator paycheck. He's going to take a third, a 20. He'll take a 75% pay cut.
Well, he's not
if
still.
he goes to something.
He's not still getting paid as the OC, right? It was a 1 year.
No, but I'm saying is he's going to go somewhere else if he leaves here. Like, first of all, if he stays here, you know they're not going to be vicious with how much they cut his pay.
Okay.
If he goes to another organization, he's going to get his pay cut. It's going to be incredible.
Okay.
These coaches don't make as much money as you think they do
I got you.
when they're not coordinated.
I just think about, like, I'll tell a story without mentioning names. Like, we once had a daily member of a show here at the Fanatic, and they were removed from said daily show, and they said, hey, if you want to stick around and work weekends, you can.
Okay.
You know how competitive radio is.
Sure.
You know how competitive this market is. There's not many opportunities out there. There's two stations, right? There's not many opportunities. But pride, would you want to do it? When you were a daily part of a show,
right?
A big part of the show, and then you're offered to, like, do weekends to stick around. That's kind of what this is for Kevin Patullo. Like, hey, we're not going to have you as the offensive coordinator anymore, but if you want to stick around as a part of the coaching staff, you can.
It's if he stays around, it's even dumber. It's even dumber if he's in the building that he sticks around. It's a dumber thing. That, to me, there needs to be a clean break.
Nick trusts him, man. He absolutely trusts him. All right, so we'll react to the Patullo firing. We'll give you some candidates throughout the course of the show. NBC Sports Philadelphia put together a list of 11 names, 10 more names than what was actually a part of the offensive coordinator search last year, which is insane, and it's embarrassing, and it leads to what we were talking about yesterday. It was a wasted season. They didn't try when it came to the offensive coordinator position. Think about it for a second. They had one guy in mind, and they promoted that one player, or one person.
And when people, again, if you hear anybody, and I've had a few people on Twitter, and I've just stopped going back and forth with it. Who would you have interviewed? They had nobody else they could have gone to. You don't sound smart when you say that. They could have gone to anyone in the college ranks, and anyone in the college ranks would have loved to have come here. And by the way, they could have done a better job.
I know when the station posts like part-time positions, millions of people apply.
It's unbelievable.
You mentioned it, the offensive coordinator position of the defending Super Bowl champions gets posted, I imagine a lot of people would try to get that job.
There would have been college coaches that would have said, I'll leave this low-level college school I teach that I coach at to go be the OC of the Eagles.
Yeah.
Because then I might get to be a head coach in the NFL. It's ridiculous. They didn't do their due diligence. They didn't do their hard work.
So with that being said, not doing their due diligence, not expanding the search for the offense that is one of the most expensive offenses in football and one of the most talented offenses in football. You led we've talked about this, a teenager drive the Lamborghini.
Yeah, you got a brand new Lamborghini and you toss the keys to your 16-year-old
and you
on a
put
Friday night.
You put the student driver, tag on the back of that Lamborghini. So you already ruined the beautiful Lambo by putting the student driver bumper sticker, and you got the 16-year-old that's afraid to go 50 miles per hour in a 65-mile-an-hour lane.
Most aren't, though.
I got you. Ask me that. But that's what Kevin Patullo was. And we talked about this a lot yesterday. We talked about it on Monday. You had one of the most inexpensive defenses in the league, but one of the best defenses in the league. That's wasted. You had all this talent on offense, by the way, not getting any younger.
No.
That was wasted. You had, if we take a step back, as down as I was on their chances, right? I said that their chances were dead in November.
The weekend before Thanksgiving.
I said it was over.
After the Dallas game, you said it was over.
Even
You and Connor both said it was over.
Even I, waking up when we saw the playoff field shape out, I went, all right, it's open, right? Like, there's no dominant team. My biggest fear was the Los Angeles Rams. But there was a world that they could have gotten knocked out. They almost lost to the Carolina Panthers, right? Like, that is true. And that open NFC for the Eagles ended in round one at home against a banged-up 49ers team that you could not score at least 24 points against. So for me, again, John, wasted season. You said it as well. Wasted season.
It was a waste.
Failure. Disaster. Are people already letting them off the hook?
What do you mean?
So yesterday, we had the great Zach Berman on from The Athletic. Does a tremendous job covering the Eagles. And we were talking about, Kevin Patullo, obviously. This was before it was announced that he would no longer be the offensive coordinator of the Eagles. It's before we started talking about what's next for the Philadelphia Eagles. In the middle of his answer about Kevin Patullo, take a listen to what he said. He went on a bit of a detour and had this to say on the show yesterday morning.
This might not be popular on talk radio to say. I don't think this was a disastrous season. I mean, the Eagles won 11 games. They won the NFC East. And I understand that they underachieved relative to their talent and relative to kind of what they thought they would be. But, if their down year is 11 wins and making the playoffs, that's pretty good compared to what happens elsewhere in the league.
So,
Wow.
Relative to their expectations, well, if your expectations were mine, which was just getting back to the NFC title game,
You wanted to yours was Final Four.
that was like my bar, right? They still fell 2 games shy of that bar. If your expectations or your bar was returning to the Super Bowl, you weren't even saying winning, just getting back to the Super Bowl, that fell 3 games short of the bar.
Correct.
If you thought that the defending Super Bowl champions could have a first-round bye, they fell 2 seeds shy of that by finishing as the 3 seed. If you thought that they would win 12 games, they finished 1 win shy of that, finishing with 11.
11-6 is below almost everyone's expectation.
Yeah, it really was. We did W's and L's one way or another.
It should be below their expectations.
11 wins wasn't what a lot of people expect.
I don't understand how there has to be. You can't say something in a vacuum. I don't want to hear about 11 wins. It's the most hollow 11 wins you could ever give me. It is empty calories. It is a freaking Twinkie. There's nothing to it. You eat it, and it's just wasted calories.
Yeah.
There's nothing about that 11 wins that's satisfying. It is the most miserable 11 wins
Especially
ever.
when you had 8 wins before you lost 3 straight games, and then wins 9 and 10 were against the Raiders and the Commanders.
You were
right?
up 21-0 the Sunday before Thanksgiving against the Dallas Cowboys. You were the number 1 seed in the NFC. And then all happened.
So I immediately followed up with Zach on the air, and I was like, hey, Zach, I get what you're saying, but, like, let me lay out why this is a wasted season. And he did understand where we were coming from.
Sure he did.
But he also said, look, my son's 8 years old. He's an Eagles fan. Zach's not. He's a reporter. He's a journalist. His son is 8 years old. His son has seen, like, nothing but success in his very early life that he has had so far. But I don't care about perspective. I care about the team that I watch, the team that I love, the team that I support, and the team that I had high expectations for. But okay, Zach Berman's a journalist. He doesn't have the same emotions that you and I have. He doesn't have the same emotions that Connor has. So after the firing of Kevin Patullo took place yesterday, I did what most people did. Let me put on the radio. So I put on Unfiltered with Bill and Ricky and Silvana, and Andrew DeCecco was in as well. And it's just amazing that I put it on like 2 minutes before Bill brought up the Zach Berman comments that took place on the show yesterday. And take a listen to what Bill and DeCecco said hours later.
And Zach Berman, I know you heard it, Andrew, was on the morning show this morning, and they're calling this season a disaster. And Berman's like, 11-6 in a division title. If that's a disaster season for the Eagles, I'm sure there's a lot of other franchises who would sign up for that to be a disaster.
Absolutely. I think perspective is important here. You look around the NFL, and I know that this isn't what people want to what they want to hear, but it's hard to win in this league. And I think sometimes that's taken for granted given the Eagles' level of success over the past 3-4 seasons. But, keep that in mind.
All right. My blood started boiling when I heard that yesterday.
It makes my blood boil, too. Because here's what I'll say to both Bill and to Andrew. And Andrew is going to join us later on.
7:30. I texted him. I was like, dude, listen, I need you to come on to talk about this tomorrow.
It's when Bill and Andrew both at some point in the discussion, and I heard it again in the 5 o'clock hour on Unfiltered after I got done with classes. I'm listening on the way home. I'm sure this isn't what people want to hear, Andrew says. He even couches it as soon as he says it. We are not journalists.
Right.
Andrew is a journalist.
I do have a degree.
We are not journalists. This is not journalism, what we do.
No.
But what too many journalists try to do is separate themselves and say, no emotion comes into my coverage. No emotion. It is just, I am just completely objectivity, everything like that. There is nothing in life that involves that. You cannot separate yourself from your consumers. So you can't separate yourself. What the journalists in this town do is they cover a product. And they cover a product for a fan base. You cannot so separate yourself from your consumers. You don't have to act just like them, but you also have to understand the consumers. And when you say, look, what Bill's saying is you should be happy
that they won 11
with 11
games.
wins and win a division. Bull crap.
Yeah.
But Bill, you're out of your freaking mind, Bill. You're out of your mind. If you think the defending Super Bowl champions and you watched that season unfold and you think any Eagle fan should be content or pleased or okay with 11 wins and a division championship, by the way, a horrible division.
Yes.
Washington,
Yeah.
terrible. Dallas, terrible. The Giants, terrible.
Somebody had to win.
What are you bragging about? You're saying we should be content because we won the NFC East? The NFC East was a garbage pit this year. What are you celebrating? Why are we beating our chest about that? Don't spin that to your fan base and say, be proud of it. You won a division. A lot of people would be excited about that. No, because the Eagles have set a different standard. Jeffrey Lurie has set a different standard. Winning the NFC East is not anything to be bragging about.
No.
Stop it.
By the way.
Stop spinning this alternate universe. We all lived it. This year was not something to brag about. This year was not something to be pleased with.
By the way, if this year was something to be pleased with, would Patullo have been fired less than 48 hours?
No, Jeffrey Lurie would go, well, let's be honest.
Like somebody lost their job.
We won the division. You won. If I hear one more member of the media in this town spin that they won the NFC East over Dallas, the Giants, and Washington, be quiet.
Well, now here's the thing.
How could you not win the division?
Hold on. In the world that I'm still trying to
How could you not?
bring back together, because it's not my way or the highway, I'm right, you're wrong, I do like to have conversation.
Okay.
And if 3 people in one day, Berman, Bill,
Okay.
and Checo,
Right.
if 3 people in less than 12 hours said that they were, hey, look, tough season.
They won the division.
They won the division. There might be Eagles fans out there that feel that way. So
I'd love to hear from if they
I
did.
would like to know at 632-0975. Now that the dust has somewhat settled from the Eagles' extremely disappointing loss, to me disastrous loss, to me failed season with all the expectations that you had in August, if you are now saying, hey, it was going to be tough to repeat, the fact that they got to 11 wins and won the division and hosted a playoff game, I'll take that considering they won the Super Bowl last year. If that is what your gut tells you today, it told you that yesterday, you were in agreement with Berman and Bill and DeCecco, let us know. I'm curious why, and that's why we have conversation. Now, if you're like John and I and you just want to rip Bill.
No, I'm just saying. Look, if you're telling me you're excited about winning the division against the 4-13 Giants, the 5-12 Commanders, and the 7-9-1 Cowboys, you needed 8 wins to win the division. Stop bragging about it.
You can text in, you can call in 610-632-0975. Are we already letting them off the hook? Please don't do that. If you are, we'll talk about it. But I'm stunned that I heard 3 different people. 2 of them are journalists. One of them is Bill's, it's Nick's cousin and Bill Colarulo. So I'm not surprised there either. Coming up next, did we find out who was whispering a lot behind the scenes for the Eagles? Pretty interesting audio clip for you to hear next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Patullo out as OC. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles announced yesterday that they are moving on from Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator, a move that many thought was coming after the season ended in the wild card round. The Eagles were 19th in the NFL in points per game this season, 18th in rushing yards, 23rd in passing yards under Kevin Patullo. Adam Schefter, who will join us today at 8:05, reacted to the firing yesterday on ESPN Overnights.
It'll be the 5th straight season that they're making a change at offensive coordinator. It is yet another new offensive system and play caller for Jalen Hurts. They now have to go out and hire somebody.
So the Eagles now have a major coaching position to fill as the offseason has just gotten going for them. We'll keep you updated on any news on the hiring process that we get as their offseason gets rolling. Sixers host the Cavs tonight at 7 p.m. VJ Edgecombe, Joel Embiid, and Paul George are all listed on the injury report, but listed as probable. We'll keep an eye on their statuses. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. Flyers are in Buffalo taking on the Sabres at 7:30 p.m. You can hear that game live over on WMMR. Andrew DeCecco joins us at 7:30. As mentioned, Adam Schefter joins us at 8:05. And NFL analyst and former QB Sean Salisbury joins us at 9:05. So we got a lot of great Birds talk reacting to the removal of Kevin Patullo as offensive coordinator. I'm Connor Thomas for your home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the best Birds coverage. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
975thefanatic.com.
This hour of Kincade Salciunas is presented by Bradford White Water Heaters. Bradford White, they're here for the pro.
It's 6:30 here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. You're here an interesting clip from Nick Foles' podcast. It was last week when it was said, made its rounds yesterday after the parting of Kevin Patullo, and it makes you think, was he the one that did a lot of chit-chat and whispers behind the scenes? Scanning through our YouTube comments during the commercial break, you can watch the show on YouTube, and you can also comment. So if you don't want to use the text line, which we say you should, it's 610-632-0975, or if you want to call in, love to hear from you. You can also watch the show on YouTube and comment. The great Renee, who is one of our most active users on the comment section, Johnny, she chimes in right away. I'm convinced John and Andrew get together before the show and discuss what they could say to annoy me.
Renee, we do talk about it.
Yes.
Connor says, now look, let's take her behind the scenes. Connor says, look, which one of you is pissing off Renee today? And he says, and it doesn't get to just be you, Andrew.
No, it could be either of us or both of us.
Because sometimes I go, Andrew, you've been pissing off Renee every day. Let me have my shot at it.
So it's top of the show sheet. Make Renee mad.
Absolutely. And she says,
Renee, what could you possibly be blaming us for today?
no, this is what she says. And I wonder how many people fall in line with this. And then I want
Okay.
to I want to address it. She says, I agree that this season was trash, but I think at this point I'm over it now.
No.
I'm not over the wasted season, right? I put out a tweet yesterday, the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles video yearbook, the wasted season. That's what I would title it. I'm not over the wasted season 3 days after the season came to an end.
Absolutely not.
And here's why.
What, turn the page? We're now supposed to just forget about it?
Here's why I believe you and I are a lot more upset than other people like Bill Colarulo. The Checo and Berman, all right, they are journalists. I understand
Correct.
what you're saying,
Correct.
but a little different emotion than the way we feel. We saw this coming. And the problem is, if I see it coming, if you see it coming, back in August or whenever Patullo was promoted, or back in November when I thought they need to change something now, and instead they decide to stick with the plan that wasn't working, that makes me more angry. It's why I'm so angry with the Phillies outfield situation, right? Because for 4 years now, I've been complaining about the Phillies outfield situation, and Dave Dombrowski ran it back for 4 straight seasons.
Absolutely.
It's why I get upset about right-handed pop, because ever since they lost Rhys Hoskins, which was when? 2023 to injury, never returned, the Phillies never replaced that. They may have with Adolis Garcia. That's left to be determined. I got to see it play out first in 2026.
And it's another Band-Aid.
But the injury,
which makes it more...
Injury happened in spring training of 23. They never addressed it during throughout the season or trade deadline. They had all of 24. They had all of 25, and they never addressed it. They signed left-handed hitter Max Kepler. So that's why I get so angry, because I'm just a guy on the radio pointing out flaws of teams that I believe could be fixed or improved upon if you hire the correct person, if you hire the person that has play calling experience and not a guy that's been in the NFL for 17 seasons, never doing it, and you just promote him because you like him, you respect him, and he's your friend. So that's why I'm still so angry 3 days later, because we saw this playing out a long time ago. And some of the people that we have mentioned, like the Checo and Bill, preached patience, especially on the offensive side. And my patience was thin to begin with, and it got worse after the first month of the season. Remember how we talked about let's give them the first month? It's the extension of the preseason. It's the first time he's calling plays. Oh, by the way, they started out 4-0 in the first 4 weeks of the season. So you go, all right, that's great.
But they didn't do well during that.
No, they didn't. But you said, okay, it's first 4 weeks. Let's see. It got worse after that. Quarter one, if you want to just break it down by quarters, I know there's a 17th game. Quarter one of the NFL season for the Philadelphia Eagles offensively was the best quarter. It was. Unless you want to really look at those Commanders-Raiders games, which I won't.
No, you can't. And it didn't get any better. But the stuff that's being touted, if you're going to talk about, You're going to try to make a case for Kevin Patullo. If anybody, again, touts winning this division as a talking point, stop. There were 3 losing teams in the division. And by the way, the Eagles had their worst divisional record in years. They were 3-3 in the division. They split their divisional games, which is terrible. You're in a terrible division and you went 3-3 in the division.
It's not good.
That's terrible. And by the way, before anybody says, well, you didn't care about the last Commanders game. Well, give me a break. You lost the Cowboy game, which you cared the hell of a lot about.
Yeah, that was for the 1 seed.
You cared the Giant game that you lost. This was a terrible year. And like 11 wins, I don't want to hear it. When you played in a bad division like that, you should have probably had 12, 13 wins.
I saw a poll yesterday from Unfiltered, and it was it's an open-ended question if you don't listen to the show, right? And the question was, do you believe the Eagles would have repeated as Super Bowl champions if they had a different offensive coordinator?
How did that poll turn out?
55% said yes. 45% said no.
Repeated as Super Bowl champions.
So,
I'm not sure how I would have voted.
I would probably say no because you can't guarantee it. But here's what I could guarantee.
I think I would have said no.
Here's what I could guarantee. I could have guaranteed if they had an offensive coordinator that had a clue, they're a higher seed, right?
Yes, they're a higher seed.
They finish as the 2 seed, if not the 1 seed.
You could have been the 1 seed, which could have changed everything.
They win a playoff game. They don't lose the way that they did to the San Francisco 49ers, if that was what the matchup ended up being, regardless of seed. Those are the 2 things that I can guarantee. And the reason why I say higher seed, how many games did the offense lose?
The offense, I think, lost a lot of games.
The Broncos game, I understand the defense was bad in the fourth quarter, but if you put together drives,
no, they lost that game. The offense lost the Broncos game.
That's another win. That's now 12 wins.
They absolutely the offense lost the Cowboy game.
That's 2 wins.
Chicago.
That's 3 wins. They were down 10-9 in the fourth quarter, man.
I got you.
That's 3 wins that I agree with. If the offense was played anywhere to their standard.
He'll throw the Chargers in there. Jalen Hurts with the 4 interceptions.
Look, losses are going to happen. They weren't going to go 17-0. But
okay, give me. You could easily say 3 more wins.
That's 14 wins. That's the number 1 seed in the NFC.
And that's what they were last year. And they played in such a crappy division. 13 wins should have been the expectation. It's bad.
So that's why I'm not over it yet. And I was surprised to hear it from Zach, surprised to hear it from Bill and Andrew not long after our show came to an end, having that rhetoric about the Eagles season. And, hey, if you put it into perspective, I'm not a Cleveland Browns fan. All right? If the Cleveland Browns next year win their division, which who knows, right? Tomlin's out with Pittsburgh. Harbaugh's out with Baltimore. And then it's Joe Burrow, does he stay healthy? If the Cleveland Browns win the division, I would shut down whatever their version of Broad Street is in Cleveland and have a freaking parade for winning the division. I would have a parade. But we're not the Cleveland Browns.
No, we're not.
The Philadelphia Eagles were the defending Super Bowl champions. There is a standard. There is an expectation. There's a reason why they're on national television every other week. And for them to be done already, it's a failure, and it's a waste because of who the offensive coordinator is. Is it all on him? No. But can I point to reasons why he is a big part of the problem? Absolutely. And you know what? The Eagles can too. It's why he got fired. Now, did we find out that he was a whisperer?
I think we may have.
So last week, Nick Foles, he does his great podcast, Foles. Film breakdown, stories. He still has some insight. He talks to some people. They had Richard Sherman on as a guest. And remember how shady last year kind of slipped? Saying, I was talking to A.J. Brown. I was talking to somebody.
He was texting with him or whatever,
I don't know how much Richard Sherman wanted this out, or maybe more importantly, I don't know how much Ryan Fitzpatrick wanted this out, or maybe even more importantly, I don't know how much Kevin Patullo wanted this out. Take a listen to Richard Sherman on with Nick Foles.
You're like, what's the common denominator? And Fitz is good friends with Kevin Patullo, so he reached out and he's like, people are just so hard on me, and it's not my fault. And they don't understand the inner workings. And it's like, Kevin, we get it, but when you're the offensive coordinator with great with great power comes great responsibility and great burden and accountability.
So, Ken Patullo has a lot of voices frustration with people. All right, we all do it.
Sure, absolutely.
But man, you got to be careful with who you're voicing your frustration to, including Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is he's part of the Prime broadcast, and maybe he didn't say it himself, but maybe he tells Richard Sherman, and Richard Sherman goes on a podcast because these are
and just
well-known
shares
people.
and he just shares the information.
Remember Brett Favre a couple of years ago when Doug was still the head coach, and he went on ESPN to talk about the great things he does in the community? That's a joke.
Before he was defrauding the old people.
Brett Favre was like, yeah, they should have kept Foles over Wentz. And it was like days after Doug talked about how he spoke with Brett for a long time during the bye week. He didn't quote Doug, but it's pretty interesting that you guys just had this conversation during the bye week, and now Brett Favre's going on ESPN and saying these things. You got to be careful.
Yeah, mouthpiece.
And so it makes me think how much of these random Jalen Hurts reports that came out around Week 10 and Week 11 when things were going poorly.
I think it's Patullo covering his backside in advance. Knowing what was coming. And I don't believe him, by the way.
Coming up next, we'll check the text line. Are you kind of letting them off the hook here? Hey, they won the Super Bowl last year. They won 11 games this year. They won the division. I'm not there. It was a failure. It was a wasted season. I will never agree with anybody that says that, but I can talk to you about it. 610-632-0975. That and 647 has become Bo Watch. The latest reports on the free agent, and we finally get to stop talking about a player that I don't think anyone wanted. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, the Fanatic. All right, FanDuel's turning on playoff mode. All customers get a profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Each game day during the divisional round, you'll find a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts waiting for you in the app. More boosts means more ways to level up your playoff bets. Pick the matchups that you believe in. Take your shot on an upset or build a parlay that fits the moment. Unfortunately, our squad, the Philadelphia Eagles, are out of the playoffs. But the team that beat them, I think their season comes to an end this Saturday night. Seahawks 7-point favorites. I just don't see San Francisco being able to do that a second straight week against a second straight dominant defense. As long as Sam Darnold doesn't have one of his playoff performances, I like Seattle to cover the 7 against San Francisco. Apply your profit boost. Go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs keep rolling. Just visit FanDuel.com/local and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. You got to be 21 plus, present in Pennsylvania, opt-in required. Bonus issued as natural profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The Fanatic's Andrew DiCecco.
Renee says, us two and her husband every morning try to find a way to annoy her every single day.
That's marriage.
We're glad that we can do that for you.
That's marriage, Renee.
We make her feel right at home on the show.
That's love, baby.
Yeah, exactly. All right, your texts or calls, 610-632-0975. Are you letting them off the hook, or have you gotten over it already? I can ask that question, too, because speaking of Renee, in case you're just tuning in, Renee is one of our constant commenters on our YouTube feed. You can watch the show on YouTube. Obviously, you can stream it on your smart speakers, and you can listen to the show on the old-fashioned radio, whenever you want.
And you feel like you start to, when you become part of the community like that, you feel like you start to know people.
Yeah, and it's great. Like, I know the YouTube community have gotten together and hung out at times. It's great. So, Renee has already moved on. I don't know how you can. Close to that.
No. It's too painful a year to have just – it's too painful a year to just shrug this off and go, well, on to the next page.
Now, she's not like Bill, Andrew, and Berman saying, hey, good year.
Oh, good. Because
she's just over it.
I'm not having it. I'm not having any spin of that. Like, stop spinning it.
Well,
and again, if you spin division championship to me, stop it.
Well, there might be some people,
now.
John. Let's check our text line, Connor. What do we got at 610-632-0975? I'm going to imagine that more people are Team Kincade and Salciunas on this one. I was in shock. We'll play the clips for you again to start the 7 o'clock hour. I was in shock to hear what I heard yesterday from those three fine gentlemen. But what do we got on the text line?
First texter here, no name on this one, but they say absolutely not. This team is way too talented to not go far. Stars at most positions, so I don't care about NFC's title. It means nothing. We were the gold standard, remember?
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I remember.
Did that one have a name, no name on it?
No name.
Okay, no name. I love you. I love you because when an organization or a business or your spouse or your child or whatever sets a standard of behavior, and then they fall way, way below it, you don't just say, it's okay, it's all right. No, when there's a standard set, there's a reason you go, wait a minute, what's happening here? Why all of a sudden has the standard not been kept up? There's a reason for it, and it should be alarming to you. I love that.
Yeah.
That's the way you keep high standards. Brushing it off makes your standards slip.
Yeah, you don't want that. What else we got?
Al in Southwest checks in, says the Eagles season was like a summer blockbuster bomb. Big budget movie that was terribly boring. No spin would make you want to watch that movie again. It was not a successful season.
Guys, this season sucked.
It was terrible.
I did not enjoy this season.
I didn't either. I
was miserable.
I think this season was a miserable watch. Like, it was a miserable watch.
Yeah, that's the simple thing about, like, don't even complicate this. Did you have fun watching Eagles football this year? How many games did you come out of and were like, I enjoyed that experience? Maybe the second Giants game, maybe the blocked field goal at the end of the Rams game, but that game was a nail-biter and you sucked in the first half.
Raiders game was fun because I didn't have to stress.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't even fun for me because that game meant nothing.
I know it meant nothing,
garbage.
but I was happy coming in Monday morning finally
to talk about a win
but that
was it,
and a big win, and there was nothing I could come out of that game where I was upset, and that was a nice change of pace. That was like a therapy week for me.
But was there any point in that game where you're like, hell yeah, Birds?
No, because
I'm so proud
because
of you.
I didn't really believe it.
Exactly.
I didn't.
We didn't have fun this year.
All right,
it wasn't fun.
Bow watch instead of Baywatch. Got Bow watch. I need
Some people
I need David
stand in the
Hasselhoff
darkness,
running in slow mo,
afraid to run into the light.
or maybe the other characters running in slow mo. I enjoyed those scenes.
I hope you did. Why did David Hasselhoff come to mind?
Well, because he's the more well-known
Not Pamela
name.
Anderson.
He's David Hasselhoff's a world-known.
Yeah, but you were talking about running slowly.
He's the hero.
He's the
hero of Germany, man. Bow watch with Bo Bichette. So, Connor, again, the propeller hat bet. As somebody reminded me on YouTube, they said, don't let you off the hook. You said you would wear 2 propeller hats if he signed with the Eagles.
Yeah.
If he signs with the Eagles.
Sorry, signed with the Phillies.
Of them.
I don't know how you would do that, but we'll figure it out. According to Bob Nightingale, now that there's been more and more information about the Bo Bichette meeting that took place on Monday, he wrote that the Philadelphia Phillies suddenly are cautiously optimistic about their hopes of signing free agent infielder Bo Bichette. Now, normally cautiously optimistic seems like a negative, but remember, he tried downplaying it the other day. So this is almost like a good cautiously optimistic. He furthered it by saying Bichette and the Phillies had their first meeting Monday in a Zoom call with both sides expressing strong interest in the other. The two sides came away from the meeting believing there was genuine interest in one another. Todd Zalecki wrote yesterday, the Phillies' interest in Bichette is real. Sources said they believe there is a path to a deal, but several challenges must be met. And those are the players that we've been talking about. Alec Boehm, can you move him? And somebody picks up all the salary. Nick Castellanos, just how much money would somebody be willing to eat of a player you have been very open and honest about that you don't want here anymore?
Correct.
Which doesn't really help you. Matt Gelb, the two sides met Monday on a video conference call, and although those involved declined to reveal details, multiple sources briefed on the meeting said both parties emerged with optimism. So those are trusted reporters that are saying, hey, there's something here.
Okay, let me give you this. None of the trusted reporters, and I trust them all. They're good reporters. None of the trusted reporters are in on the call. Bo Bichette is trying to drum up a market for his services. He's trying to create a market and trying to create a robust market for his services.
That market was always there, I would imagine.
Has there been a robust market? I do not believe there has been any public. It's been very quiet. In fact, Major League Baseball Network says it has been a very quiet pursuit.
I think there are
Bo
dominoes first. I think like Kyle Tucker might be the
That's
first
what I'm
name.
saying.
Yeah,
He
Bregman had to fall.
He doesn't want to wait. He wants to be like setting the market. I think this is Bo Bichette's people trying to orchestrate the market, trying to create, hey, we're creating the buzz. Of course he wants to say that everything went great. Who do you think was releasing the news that things went great with the Phillies? Bo Bichette's people. Because he wants other people to go, hey, he might be getting close with the Phillies.
If that market leads to Philadelphia, sign me up.
Yeah, in other words, hey, Red Sox, hey, Dodgers, hey, Yankees,
Bring
get on your
home
horse.
Bo. Bring home Bo. Bring home Bo. I need it at this point or I'm going to be miserable.
Yeah, it
you
would be
did this
great.
to yourself.
I'm setting myself up. I already told you. Last week when there was the guy that covers like the Yankees that said it's like almost a certainty that he's going to Philadelphia. I was like, this made my Friday and also will potentially crush my offseason if it doesn't happen. Bring home Bo. Bring home Bo. All right, coming up next. Who could be the new OC? There is a name that makes a lot of sense. Is that what the front office would want? We'll get into that coming up next. You also hear, once again, Berman, Bill DeCecco on Let Him Off the Hook. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Eagles oust the OC. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles announced yesterday that they're moving on from Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator, a move that many thought was coming after the season ended in the wild card round for the Birds. The Eagles offense this year, 19th in points per game, 18th in rushing yards per game, 23rd in passing yards per game under Kevin Patullo. It was not a banner year for the offense. Adam Schefter, who's going to join us coming up at 8:05, talked on ESPN Overnights about the move.
You could tell. That's the move that comes right after the season. That's where they believe their focus and emphasis needs to be as they start to retool that roster and look ahead to the 26th season.
So if the Eagles truly believe that was the big issue, and it seems like they did, they now have a major coaching position to fill as the offseason has just gotten going for them. We'll keep you updated on any news on the hiring process. Sixers host the Cavs tonight at 7 p.m. Edgecombe, Embiid, and George are all listed as probable. That game live here on the Fanatic. Flyers are in Buffalo taking on the Sabres at 7:30. You can hear that game over on WMMR. Andrew DeCecco joins us coming up at 7:30. In addition to Adam Schefter at 8:05, NFL analyst and former QB Sean Salisbury joins us at 9:05. This update is brought to you by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at crohnscolitisfoundation.org. I'm Connor Thomas for your home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the best Birds coverage. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Weather, Kincade and Salciunas. Philly Sports Talk, 97.5 The Fanatic.
By the way, I forgot to get to it last segment. The player that we don't have to talk about anymore that I don't think anybody wanted, Nolan Arenado, was traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks yesterday. I know that was...
I heard him talked about here like people pined for him.
I saw reporters mention that it was a possibility. I don't.
Yeah, but no,
I don't
I'm
remember
talking
many
about fans.
I don't
fans
remember.
have talked about
there
him
have
for
been fans
years.
on him.
No, for years ago, I really wanted it.
Last trade deadline, people were
People
wanting
were
Nolan
bringing it up,
Arenado.
yeah.
This offseason, I've
Begging
gotten
for Nolan
a
Arenado.
lot
Oh, I
of
didn't-
comments
Oh,
on
yes.
We got
my
different algorithms.
podcast.
Oh, yes.
We have different Arenado algorithms.
Oh my God. Fans
My
were
algorithm
dying
was
for
an
Al.
anti-Arenado algorithm. Yours was pro.
Oh,
It's
my
not even the
gosh.
algorithm. It's the podcast comments are saying trade
Al-
Arenado for Bohm.
Yes. That's
Arizona, great retirement community out there, though, so it fits them well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't host the Great Locked On Phillies podcast. You do.
That always is
You
good.
could always listen.
All right. If you're just tuning in, we've started the show obviously reacting to the news that Kevin Patullo was removed as the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, not fired from the Philadelphia Eagles. Mike Garafolo pointed that out, like, hey, look at the wording. He might still be around.
Which is horrifying.
It's weird. To me, it's weird. Like, because here's the deal. How do I, no, I'll just say it bluntly. Like, if he has an idea and you're a player, you go, yeah, no, I'm going to listen to this guy instead. Like, we sucked last year.
Yeah, optically, it's weird. Now,
Yeah.
here's the thing. He wasn't just passing game coordinator for the first time in 2024. He held that position from 21 to 24. So he was the
Right.
passing game coordinator for 2 NFC winning teams, 1 Super Bowl winning.
And again, if you listen or read Nick Sirianni's statement, here it is, quote, I've decided to make a change at offensive coordinator. I met with Kevin today to discuss the difficult decision, as he is a great coach who has my utmost respect. He has been integral to this team's success over the last 5 years, not only to the on-field product, but behind the scenes as a valued leader for our players and organization. I have no doubt he will continue to have a successful coaching career. Ultimately, when we fall short of our goals, that responsibility lies on my shoulders. He loves the guy.
He does, and look, I expect him to say that, but can we stop with the great coach stuff? If Kevin Patullo is a great coach, what is Vic Fangio?
Hall of Famer.
A great coach?
Yeah.
A great coach?
Potential Hall of Fame defensive coordinator.
So what is he?
Yeah.
What is Christian Parker, who probably will be a DC somewhere? What is he?
A future great coach.
He's he's already a better coach than Kevin Patullo. I mean, stop with the great coach stuff.
Yeah, I hear you. So we were reacting to it. And yesterday, when the news broke, I did what a lot of people did. I said, all right, I got to put on the Fanatic. I want to hear how Bill is reacting to it, and Ricky and Silvana. And Andrew Pacheco was in for his 2-hour hit. He joins Unfiltered for 2 hours on Tuesdays from 2 to 4. And so I heard them talking about something that was said on this show, Kincade and Salciunas. Yesterday morning, we had Zach Berman on. And in the middle of one of his answers, he kind of took a detour and had this to say about the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles.
This might not be popular on talk radio to say. I don't think this was a disastrous season. I mean, the Eagles won 11 games. They won the NFC East. And I understand that they underachieved relative to their talent and relative to kind of what they thought they would be. But, if their down year is 11 wins and making the playoffs, that's pretty good compared to what happens elsewhere in the league.
And then later on in the day, listening to Unfiltered after the news broke, take a listen to, toward the end of one of the segments, Bill Colarulo brought up those comments.
And Zach Berman, I know you heard it, Andrew, was on the morning show this morning, and they're calling this season a disaster. And Berman's like, 11-6 in a division title? If that's a disaster season for the Eagles, I'm sure there's a lot of other franchises who would sign up for that to be a disaster.
Absolutely. I think perspective is important here. You look around the NFL, and I know that this isn't what they want to hear, but it's hard to win in this league. And I think sometimes that's taken for granted given the Eagles' level of success over the past 3-4 seasons. But, keep that in mind.
I hate that mentality.
It's not hard to win in the NFC East when the Cowboys are 7-9-1, the Commanders are 5-12, and the Giants are 4-13. That's complete fiction. That's complete fiction. Your opposition in the division, no one had a winning record. You're the defending Super Bowl champions.
You have one of the best defenses in football.
It's not hard to win
that you wasted, by the way.
in the NFC East. It's not. This year should have been the easiest year to win in the NFC East, and you went 3-3
So
in the NFC East.
we're curious.
Terrible.
Are there Eagles fans that feel the way that Berman, Bill, and DeCecco feel? By the way, we'll speak to Andrew at 7:30 this morning because that was like at the end of a segment. I wanted Andrew to have the opportunity to, as you say, expand on that. Like I want DeCecco to expand on those comments, give him the chance to sort of stand up for what he believes in. And I kind of know what he's going to say. He's there every day. He knows the work that it takes throughout a course of the season. So I know where he's going to go into it. But that's a very analytical way of looking at it. I'm much more emotional.
Well, I don't think, and when you hear it, I think there's some context that's missing. And the context is that expectations were too high.
They were too high. Again, if the Cleveland Browns had this season,
they're happy.
They're parading.
They're thrilled.
Whatever Broad Street is, they're partying.
We're not. If you're the defending Super Bowl champs and you've got this roster and these expectations, you are not touting this season as any kind of success.
So we want to know, are there people that feel that way at 610-632-0975? Or, as we have seen on our YouTube chat from one of our great listeners, Renee, she's over it. I'm not even close to over it.
She's already moved on.
And I won't be for a while. So, Connor, what do we got on the text line?
Chris from Lancaster checks in, says if a franchise like the Falcons goes 11-6, people get promoted. But when a franchise like the Eagles goes 11-6, people lose their jobs.
What are you eating?
Nature Valley Bar.
Come on, man. You could have waited.
Sorry, I had a piece stuck in my teeth.
We got a 9-minute commercial break coming up at 7:21.
It was a piece stuck in my teeth. I wasn't actively eating it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, look, there are teams based off of their expectations that would look at it differently. I said this on a day when you were out, John, because I always save my best stuff when you're out. Don't change what you said in August about this football team.
Correct.
In August, we were talking about going back to NFC championship games, potentially going back to a Super Bowl. We talked about 12, 13 wins. Don't change what you believed. I know a season can play out and you can change your expectations, which is why I went from NFC championship game to 0% chance of accomplishing that because I thought the offense sucked. But that doesn't mean I can't be angry and emotional about the offense sucking when you have all this talent. And they did a 3-minute interview process where the interview process was, Kevin, coach would like to see you. He walks in and they say, here,
hey,
sign the dotted line.
Hey, buddy,
Let's do an arm bar before you walk out of the locker room.
You know that there was, watching their annex on the sidelines, you know that there was some fist bumps.
Yeah.
And, dude, we did it. I told you you'd get there. I told you we'd do this.
If you follow me here, you'll move on.
I told you
up.
we'd get this.
What else we got on the text line, Nature Valley?
All right, Julio from Naples, Florida. We worked that out. Got some water done. They're so crumbly. He says because of the lackluster and unpromising year, there was never anything to have hope in regards to the success of the team this year. So with a poor OC, bad on-field execution, media drama, and early departure, it was rather expected. I'm over it.
What was the media
I'm
drama?
not over it.
Well, the media drama is the AJ stuff, the Jalen questions.
Yeah,
So it was the Eagles drama.
Yes,
not
created by the
media
Eagles,
drama.
furthered by us because we talked about it.
But it was the Eagles created drama.
Yeah, the
Yes.
texter didn't say media created drama.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it was
Just-
something that was just talked about in media.
Okay.
Because we
that's
had
fine.
to, because it was big
Yeah,
stories.
because they created the drama.
and the person
media
that
did not
created the
create
majority of it walked out after losing.
because he couldn't face the music.
and dropping 3 passes.
Yep.
All right, we'll continue to check our text line on this topic. We appreciate all of you being a part of the show, 610-632-0975. There is an offensive coordinator candidate. So later on in the show, NBC Sports Philadelphia put together a list of 11 candidates. We'll go through it. I saw an interesting report from Josina Anderson
Okay.
that, look, I respect her. I do. I know it got weird with the whole Alshon Jeffrey thing here a couple of years ago, but she is pretty good when it comes to certain nuggets. A league source said Cliff Kingsbury and Kevin Stefanski could get a real look for the Eagles' offensive coordinator position. I must overvalue Stefanski, though.
Kevin Stefanski is up for head coaching jobs in 3 or 4 markets.
Yeah, I don't see him taking a step back in terms of his role from head coach to OC when I think he could be a head coach with a lot of these teams.
Why would Kevin Stefanski do that? Like, I mean,
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know.
So that report is.
I don't.
Like, why would that doesn't?
I would love for him to bring him in.
Unless the market's not there. Like, we don't know.
He's going to interview with 4 teams.
You know,
Right, but
the market is there.
Interviewing with 4 teams doesn't mean he's getting 4 jobs. If those teams go opposite directions and he's the last man out.
Well, he is, if he's not, other than Harbaugh, he has been the hottest commodity.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, of all the guys out there,
there's a Michael Tomlin currently available as well.
Well, he has
now.
not been. He has not even said he's working.
Right.
So he has not been a hotter commodity.
They would have to, and by the way, teams would have to trade for. In case people don't know, Mike Tomlin is no longer the head coach. He stepped away from being the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he didn't get fired. They still have his rights. If he does want to coach somewhere, he would have to be traded to another team, like we've seen with Sean Payton, like we've seen with Gruden. Gruden.
I wonder if Mike Tomlin will slide into Matt Ryan's television role
for a year at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, the only obstacle I would see to that, and I was told by somebody last night that I trust pretty well, is that then there would be 2 ex-Steeler coaches on their panel. That do people want Cowher and him, unless they decided to move on from Cowher.
If it's good content, it's good content. That's all. That's all I care about.
I think they could freshen that show up a little bit.
All right.
So, and he's good. He is really good. If you haven't heard, he's excellent.
So there is a name that makes like too much sense for it to not happen, but I wonder if the organization wants it. So Todd Monken was the offensive coordinator with the Baltimore Ravens, had been for a couple of years. And he's been with John Harbaugh. You and I were going through it during the break. He was previously the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the guy's got a lot of experience. And, oh, by the way, he was the offensive coordinator of the Georgia Bulldogs.
Correct. He was the Georgia Bulldogs offensive coordinator, won national championships there.
We don't know about it, but there is an underground express train that starts
in Athens, Georgia,
at 30th Street Station and goes to Athens.
That's great.
We haven't seen it yet. It's kind of like the tunnel from the old hotel near the vet.
Oh, yes.
And players would walk to it. We still don't know if that was true or not.
Howie knows Todd Monken.
Yes.
Howie knows that staff at Georgia well. Kirby Smart and Howie very tight. Todd Monken would get the highest recommendation. But the biggest thing is, and there were some people speculating yesterday, and I heard yesterday on Unfiltered. From what I was told yesterday, Todd Monken is not going to be traveling with John Harbaugh necessarily to where he goes.
Sure.
So today, Todd Monken's interviewing with the Buccaneers today about going back to Tampa.
Okay.
So the Eagles are going to have to get on their horse. Now, that doesn't mean he's taking a job today.
Right.
That just means he's interviewing today. Tampa wants to speak to him, and they want to speak to him about working with Baker Mayfield.
Which is why the Eagles didn't even wait 48 hours to move on from Kevin Patullo. Now, why Monken makes sense? Well, if we were to compare the Eagles' offense to like any other team, mobile quarterback, beast of a running back, that was the Baltimore Ravens the last couple of years.
A run-first philosophy, a run that sets up the pass, a RPO stuff.
By the way, Monken was not that kind of guy. It was what Harbaugh wanted. He was able to merge his beliefs with what Harbaugh wanted, which is not something that Patullo did because it was, yes, Nick, whatever you want, Nick, we'll do that, Nick. Whereas Monken is a guy that has his own beliefs, followed what Harbaugh wanted, the two collaborated, especially that Harbaugh was the CEO head coach. He kind of let Monken do his thing. And if not for the injuries to Lamar, who knows how the season plays out for the Baltimore Ravens?
He got Lamar an MVP. Well, Lamar got himself an MVP.
Yeah, no, he was a talented player.
But he set up an offense that got Lamar an MVP and got Lamar a runner-up MVP. So, and then Lamar got injured this year. So Todd Monken and Lamar worked great together. He would get nothing but high recommendations here. Todd Monken loved in Athens, respected in Athens. I'm telling you right now, he is my absolute number one choice. He'd be the perfect choice. The skill set of Jalen Hurts plays to Todd Monken. It works great. And if Nick Sirianni's idea is ball control, run first, run sets up the pass, RPO stuff, things like that, it makes too much sense.
Well, here's the Monken question. Do you want it to make that much sense?
So that's why I wrote down the old trusty show sheet. Is that what the front office would want? because there is talks of, well, you need to bring in an offensive coordinator that could work with Nick Sirianni. What if they realize Nick Sirianni's scheme has been figured out and it needs a perfect ground game in order to work? Look, the scheme got you to 2 Super Bowls and won you a Super Bowl. But the second time when they won the Super Bowl, they had the best running offense in the National Football League. And that's why that scheme works so much. Not turn the ball over, controlling the clock. Explosives also count as run plays. If you may not be able to do that, let's say your offensive line is not that great next year, considering it wasn't that great this year, can you rely on that? You might need to bring in a different mindset. But ultimately, that's what Nick wants.
Yeah, do you go back to old reliable that has worked in the past with Nick Sirianni, or do you break the wheel and try and do something totally different?
And totally different could be like a Brian Dable, who Jalen Hurts knows, obviously, from back in college. He was one of his offensive coordinators. So that's another name that kind of makes sense because even though it would be another year, new offensive coordinator, at least it would be one of those coordinators that Jalen has had over the years. Now, I saw in our YouTube chat, Go Birds says, pass. Baltimore offense is trash. It wasn't good this season.
Wait a minute.
Last year, they were the third best offense in the NFL in terms of overall points. They had the most yards out of any team in the NFL last year.
And the year before, Lamar won the MVP.
Yeah.
In that offense.
So this past season wasn't great, but Lamar Jackson was injured.
The Monken offense in Baltimore was fantastic in 23 and 24.
Yeah.
Absolutely
By the way,
fantastic.
imagine if the Ravens had more skill players. Like Derrick Henry's great. Zay Flowers was their best receiver.
What if they had a A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, things like that?
So that's a name to keep an eye on, a name that intrigues me.
But he's already getting interviews.
Getting interviews, so we'll see. 610-632-0975. Let's go to Jay in Dallas. What's up, Jay?
Hey, what's up, fellas? How y'all doing this morning?
Good,
Doing
Jay.
all right,
How are
Jay?
you?
Look, all right. I think this season was a waste, man. It was 2023 all over again.
Felt like it.
And then with the scheme that we running from the offensive coordinator that Nick Sirianni wants, is like the guys, Devontae and AJ have been saying, we've been running the same scheme since 2022.
Yep.
Since Shane Steichen left. So we keep getting, if we don't change the offensive coordinator to be the offensive coordinator scheme, we're going to be in the same boat again next year.
Because defenses figure this stuff out. Like defenses, they knew what the Eagles wanted to do this year, and because they weren't as dominant up front. Like, look, if they copy-pasted and it was the same strength of the offensive line, they probably still look better this year. But when defenses have an idea of what you're doing, because you're very honest about what you're doing, you're very predictable, which was a word used since week 1 this year, and your offensive line isn't playing as good as it did last season, defenses, especially top-paid coordinators, will be able to figure out a way to stop it.
Yes. I love the Steichen.
That's why we need an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I like the
Thanks,
Steichen
Jay.
offense. I like the Steichen. It's just a delay in his.
Yeah, it's all right. He may be listening.
I like the Steichen offense a lot, and that's why I was watching it again yesterday. And what he did for Daniel Jones, incredible. Like incredible.
Former safety Daniel Jones.
And look, what they
Scout team
did.
safety.
What they did to spread people out in 2022, spread defenses out, and then create running lanes, and create running lanes for Jalen Hurts. And we have to ask the question: is Jalen Hurts going to run the football again?
That's a big one.
Is he going to do it again?
So today we were going to do the Jalen Hurts take logic out of the conversation show, but when the news breaks of Patullo, and then when Berman, Bill, and DeCecco all kind of make it seem like it wasn't that bad, if you put things into perspective, that kind of changed the way the show was going to go today. So we'll do the Jalen show tomorrow. You mentioned Daniel Jones. You know what's crazy? How many passing yards? Because it was the Jonathan Taylor show a lot of times in Indianapolis this past season. In 13 games, how many passing yards did Daniel Jones finish with? Just take
I have
a
no
guess.
idea.
Was he over 3?
230 a game.
I would have thought that too because he only played 13 games. Okay, Connor, take a guess.
We're going per game?
No, total.
Was he like 3,100?
3,101. So you were 1 yard off.
Connor.
That's as good as it gets right
That
there.
is fantastic.
That
You
was
win, Connor, you win both showcases with
Ball
that.
knower.
That was in 13 games.
That's incredible.
Jalen played 16. You want to guess how many he threw?
No, I don't.
3,224. He threw for 123 more yards in 3 more total games. And remember, Daniel Jones played a 13th game, got hurt in the first quarter.
Yeah, but Daniel Jones plays in a dome, so
that's what it is.
Oh, yeah, that's what
right.
it is.
The wind excuse, which we had to deal with
and
a
who
lot
has,
this
who has
year.
better weapons?
Yeah. What do we got on the text line, Connor, at 610-632-0975?
All right. We have a check-in here from Bobby who says, being the prettiest dog in the ugly dog contest does nothing for me. Being an inexperienced, I've got to edit some of these texts on the fly. No, being an inexperienced OC and it doesn't make any sense. Being the ugliest dog in a pretty dog contest.
In other words, stop bragging
Yes. Yeah.
about winning the NFC East. Anyone using that talking point, stop it. Stop it. Like, it's not a bragging point.
Having a rough day, Connor. You might be patulloed.
I mean,
We'll keep you around.
I'm getting these half texts with words misspelled. What do
We'll
want me
keep
to
you
do
around.
here?
We'll keep you somewhere.
Reading the damn Rosetta Stone back here.
All right, coming up next. Andrew DiCecco, one of the men that tried putting it into perspective, the 11-6 season. He joins us coming up next. Are we being too harsh on the Eagles' first-round exit? It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Birds move on from Patullo. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles announced yesterday that they're moving on from offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo, a move that many thought was coming after the season ended in the wild card round. Not necessarily removing him from the organization, but he's no longer the OC. The Eagles were 19th in the NFL in points per game, 18th in rushing yards per game, and 23rd in passing yards per game under Patullo this past year. Adam Schefter is going to join us coming up at 8:05, reacted to the firing yesterday on ESPN.
It'll be the 5th straight season that they're making a change at offensive coordinator. It is yet another new offensive system and play caller for Jalen Hurts. They now have to go out and hire somebody.
So the Eagles now have a major coaching position to fill as their offseason has just gotten going for them. We'll see who they go after next for offensive coordinator. We'll keep you updated on the hiring process. Sixers host the Cavaliers tonight, 7 p.m. Edgecombe, Embiid, and George are all listed as probable. You can hear that game live here on the Fanatic. Flyers in Buffalo taking on the Sabres, a 7:30 p.m. puck drop. You can hear that game live over on WMMR. Coming up next, Andrew DiCecco will join us for his thoughts on Kevin Patullo being removed as offensive coordinator. I'm Connor Thomas for your home at the Sixers, Flyers, and the best Birds coverage. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
It's brought to you by the BetParks online casino and sportsbook app. Live bet sports on the BetParks app. Play all your favorite casino games. There's always another way to win on the BetParks online casino and sportsbook. Got to be 21 in Pennsylvania, Jersey, or Maryland. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Thank you, Ray. What was the mascot at Washington College?
We're the Shoremen.
The
So we
Shoremen.
had Gus the Goose. Goose Nation, baby.
Was it like a high school kid that they paid, or like?
We think at one point it was our baseball coach.
That's awesome.
Really?
What do you mean? Gus the Goose, man.
Brother, we had 1,400 undergrad. We were outsourcing everything.
By the way,
I love
Connor,
that.
yesterday I had I was talking to some of the kids of, about where in my new classes, about where they're from. I'm hearing the dialects and everything. And one of my students is from RV.
Oh,
From
hell
high
yeah.
school.
How about that?
Let's go Red Devils.
And I said,
Dylan McKinnon's own.
I said, is
You
a
and Dylan are an inspiration.
RV guy. So it's very good. So Rancocas Valley.
All right, coming up at 8:05, it's a Wednesday, so Adam Schefter Wednesdays. Remember, new clocks. This is the second week of the new break times here on the Fanatic. Adam Schefter will be joining us at 8:05. For a while, he'd been joining us at 7:55. So Shefty at 8:05 to talk about the decision to remove Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator. Not fired from the Eagles as of now. He may still be a part of the coaching staff, but Kevin Patullo no longer the offensive coordinator. We'll go into what the decision was, which I think we can all figure that out, and then what's next for the Philadelphia Eagles. Shefty joins us at 8:05. But joining us now, we just talked to him on Monday, as we did after every Eagles game this season, and he's going to be in studio with us tomorrow. But I needed to talk to him for a few minutes because it was a totally different way of looking at something, the way that I did, the way that you did, and I like that. Like,
Well, that's what he usually does. That's what DeCecco does.
That's
It's his
true.
fastball.
I love furthering conversation. So we had Zach Berman on yesterday, and during one of his answers about Kevin Patullo, he kind of took a detour and said, by the way, I know this is not something that people want to hear. It's not popular. The fact that they went 11-6 after winning the Super Bowl last year, if you put things into perspective, other organizations, other fan bases would love that. And then I heard it brought up on Unfiltered with Bill, the fact that they are division winners. And then Andrew talked about how, yeah, it's tough to win in the NFL, which we understand that. But I want to further the conversation. So our man Andrew DeCecco from Inside the Birds and 97.5 The Fanatic is here. First and foremost, thank you, Andrew, for waking up bright and early during the off season. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Oh, he was up anyway.
Yeah, I know he was.
Come on now. He's a priority lifted.
So, Andrew, it's an interesting conversation because we also understand that you look at it differently, right? You are a reporter, you're a journalist, and you're there, so you understand the grind throughout the season more than somebody on the outside. You see the guys that are banged up Monday through Saturday and still finding a way to dress and play on Sunday. So I understand where you're coming from, but I look at this season as a waste. I look at this season as a disaster, considering the talent that this team has, the amazing talent the defense had. Eventually is going to have to get paid a lot of money, which could cause problems for keeping some of your guys on offense. And I believe, and John's been saying it since the day he was promoted, that they made the wrong decision to promote Kevin Patullo with no play calling experience. So for me, all of these reasons that led to your first round exit, to me, lead to a wasted season. You look at it differently.
Yeah, well, I can certainly appreciate that point of view. And I also go into every season understanding that every season has its own personality. So I know there's frustrations as to how the season looked. But for me, I look at it in the sense of they played a tough schedule this year. They played the schedule that typically follows Super Bowl champions. They won on the road against the Chiefs, against the Vikings, against the Packers, against the Bills. And they did this without their right tackle, which is arguably their most important player, at least on that side of the ball, for 8 games this season. They were the first team to win back-to-back NFC East titles in 20 years, right? And I think when you look at the fact that, yeah, it didn't go the way that they expected, but if you're talking about a team that won 11 games and got to host a playoff game, yeah, when you zoom out, there's a lot of teams that would sign up for that. So that's not necessarily patting the Eagles on the back as much as it is zooming out and looking at the season in its totality. Yeah. So that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it.
The only thing is with that, Andrew, is the NFC East this year didn't have a winning team in it. Like every team in the NFC East was terrible, other than the Eagles. So you get a home game for winning the NFC East, and the 11 wins was below expectations of what the Eagles were really sort of expected to do. And you had 3 losing teams in your division, and you went 3-3 in that division. Like, to me, that's really bad when you look at it at that more macro level and you dive down on it.
Yeah, I mean, I just go back to it's very difficult to win in the NFL, and being around an NFL organization, it's very apparent everything that goes into it. And I understand that that's not what people want to hear, but to win 11 games in the NFL is not an easy feat. Certainly after coming off a Super Bowl where expectations are elevated, they had a lot of different things that occurred this season, especially on the offensive side of the ball where they didn't meet expectations. And again, I mentioned losing Lane Johnson, having a offensive line that was banged up and you couldn't play your style of offense. And yet they still found ways to grind out wins. Now, it's also the silver lining here is you look at Jeffrey Lurie, you look at Howie Roseman. Not every team around the NFL is also fortunate enough to have 2 figures like that are going to do whatever it takes to make sure that they are back on top of that mountain, to make sure that they look at this offseason and figure out where they went wrong rather than rest on their laurels. So there's also some good that can be looked at it as well, knowing that, okay, we figured out where some of the deficiencies lie. How can we make sure that we get out in front of it so that we don't have something like this happen again? And I don't know that you can say the same for every team across the league.
But that's part of the reason why I get angrier, right? Like, I understand when you say, like, if a Cleveland Browns fan was listening to our show today, they would hate us, right?
Yes,
They'd be like, what the hell are you guys complaining about? But then my response would be, I'm sorry that you were born in Cleveland. I was born in Philadelphia, and I was able to watch the Philadelphia Eagles, become a Philadelphia Eagles fan. And since the turn of the century, you could make the case, other than the Chiefs and Patriots, because they have been the 2 dynasties since the turn of the century, the Eagles, you could put anywhere from like the 3rd to 5th best team in the National Football League. And so I will hold them to said standard. I don't hold the Browns to that standard because since the turn of the century, you could make the case that the Browns are the worst team in the National Football League. Them or the Detroit Lions for all the bad years that they had. So I get it if a Browns fan's probably jealous of us, but I'm not a Browns fan. So I hold this team to this standard. The people that you mentioned, Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, the fact that they're always going to try to win. And when their season was this much of a roller coaster and ultimately a disastrous ending, I can't do that. You know, it could be worse.
No, I mean, I hear you. I mean, but there's, the people in Buffalo Bills fans would love nothing more than to have Eagles success over the past 5 years. And, look, you're not going to win the Super Bowl every year. I know the Eagles set the bar extremely high. They've been to it twice when Nick Sirianni won one time. But I think the level of success that the Eagles have had over the last 5 years has altered perspective a little bit for some. I mean, this is the golden era of Eagles football, and this isn't going to happen all that often. Teams don't win at that kind of remarkable clip. And again, you're not going to win the Super Bowl every year. This season, yes, there were a lot of things that I understand are going to frustrate fans, and I do believe that the Eagles are going to get that corrected. But still, despite all of that, as I mentioned, without having to go over the resume, 11 wins, being the first team to win back-to-back NFC East titles in 20 years. I mean, that's not a Super Bowl. That's not a playoff win, but it is something. And
to me,
when
it's
the season
empty.
was as turbulent as it was. And that's fine, but that's just kind of the way that I see it.
When I hear you say that you're confident that they're going to get it corrected, I think you're obviously speaking from a position of power there because they've shown you in the past they get these things corrected. They don't tend to follow up bad seasons with bad seasons. But are you a little more concerned with some of the issues they had this year because a lot of them were around health and long-term health of many and some of the players that may be exiting the organization?
Yeah, that's a great question, John. And I think health has to be pretty high on the list when you're looking at the Eagles and what they need to be able to accomplish going into next season because they want to play a certain style offensively. And if they want to continue to play that style, they have to make sure that Cam Jurgens is going to revert back to being the player he was in 2024. They have to ensure that Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson are going to be those same players because if not, they are going to probably have to alter their offensive philosophy or play just slightly different. And when I look at that, specifically on that side of the ball, that's where a lot of my concern lies because they played historically well, that offensive line in 2024. And to see that steep of a drop-off and know how that impacted the offense directly throughout the season is something that, you can look at it as a concern. And then on the defensive side, there's a lot of key pieces there to ensure that you're keeping that nucleus intact. So Jalen Phillips should be at the top of the list. It's going to be very difficult for the Eagles to retain Nakobe Dean, I would imagine. It's a luxury to have 3 starting caliber off-ball linebackers. It's not a necessity, and you have to make some difficult decisions. And you also have to pay a lot of these guys too, like Jalen Carter, and you go down the list there. So yeah, I mean that should be at the top of the list. But I do believe that whatever happens, just knowing the organization, as we've all seen over the last number of years, they're going to get out in front of this and figure out ways to ensure that some of these areas aren't. They're not going to patchwork this thing moving forward. They want to build this through the vision of sustained success.
Well, we got you for 2 hours in studio tomorrow, so we'll be able to talk more about that, what they have to do to have that team back to sustain success, and, of course, your thoughts on great candidates for the offensive coordinator opening, which happened yesterday, obviously, with the removal of Kevin Petullo. So we'll have you in studio for 2 hours tomorrow. Looking forward to it, brother. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Hang with you tomorrow.
There he is, Andrew DeCecco. See, I wasn't bringing on Andrew to, let's yell at each other.
No.
I wonder how many people have that perspective where, hey, man, could be worse. I don't feel that way. I don't live my life that way. I watched the Phillies not go to the playoffs for 10 straight years.
Sure.
I am blessed that I've been able to watch the Phillies contend the last 5 years. That's been fun.
Yes.
But I'm still angry when they fall short of expectations and goals.
We absolutely should be.
I can have both.
But he didn't there were no lies detected in anything that Andrew DeCecco just said. No lies detected.
I just don't feel
that
way.
He's very practical.
Yes. And
because he is a member of the media, it's a little bit different.
All right, so we'll check our text line next, 610-632-0975. Calls as well. And it's today's headlines with Connor Thomas here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
of the time. Now let's listen to more Kincade and Salciunas before I change my mind.
It is 7:47 here on Kincade and Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. We have today's headlines with Connor Thomas coming up here momentarily. We just had Andrew DeCecco on, and we have somebody that's upset with him on the line. I don't know where we're getting at with this. So let's go to Chris in North Wales. Chris, you're on Kincade and Salciunas. What's up?
Good morning. Yes, Andrew DeCecco should have started his segment with an apology for defending the Petulo hire for 18 weeks. Secondly, to try to tell us that we should be okay with the Eagles season because Lane Johnson was hurt and it was difficult to repeat. Didn't the San Francisco 49ers
he's not telling you to
Yeah,
be
he is.
okay. No. Hold on. It's how he It's how he looks at it.
Okay, does he look at the San Francisco 49ers who were playing third and fourth string defenders because their entire defense was decimated, who flew across the country and smoked the Eagles? Like, is that not? It's because his perspective is Lane Johnson was hurt, even though the Eagles took off all their starters off and were a very relatively healthy team heading into the playoffs. But because they won the division back-to-back, his perspective is it was a good season. You got to be kidding me, guys.
That's his perspective. And you feel a lot more the way we do, which is why we're doing this topic today, because yesterday Zach Berman said something similarly, as did Bill Colarulo, as did DeCecco, which is why I said, you know what, let's do this topic today, and let's welcome Andrew on to expand on it. And you clearly feel more the way that we do, Chris.
Well, why is nobody giving him, he's trying to state facts, and nobody's telling him, like, the reality of what just happened.
You don't think
I know you guys said it.
Wait a minute. Did you not just listen to me? I've said it this morning. I just said. So you're saying nobody's doing it? I said it very clearly that I completely disagree.
I was about to say you did challenge him on the fact that the NFC East was terrible this year. So it's not a big deal that they won the NFC
It isn't,
East
and that
back-to-back.
got you the home game. So when people brag on the home game, it's because you were the one team that had a winning record in a horrible division.
Correct, but I don't know how he's allowed to peddle this. That's just my opinion. I'm pretty angry
He's
about
allowed
it.
to peddle it? It's his opinion.
And he's not. And look, again, he wasn't the only one. It's why we're doing this topic today, Chris. And look, we appreciate your emotion. We appreciate the call. You can talk to Andrew next time he's on the air with Unfiltered, and
he'll be with us
here
tomorrow.
I should have said call back tomorrow because we will have Andrew on tomorrow, and Andrew will stand his ground and
he will
say what he has to say.
I guarantee you this. One thing I know about Andrew DeCecco, and I've known him a long time, he does nothing for effect. He does nothing that he doesn't believe in.
No.
I completely disagree on the evaluation of this season.
As do we.
But as I told you, I don't think that anything he said, I didn't detect any lies. Like, I disagreed with his reasoning.
What's the Eagles' record without Lane Johnson? Like,
it's terrible.
12-30 something.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Like, it's really bad.
Yeah, exactly.
And who knows? If he's back on Sunday, maybe the ground game looks better with Fred Johnson as a jumbo package. But it's why we're doing the topic. I wonder how many people are like Andrew. And I as I said at the beginning of the show,
they're allowed to be.
There's more you, me, and Chris in North Wales than there are Bill Bermans and DeCecco.
And remember, Andrew's point of view comes from a much more informed sort of viewpoint.
Right.
Because he sees it much deeper than any of us, and that includes myself. So take that into consideration, too. It's a different perspective.
Absolutely.
I still disagree with it.
Yes.
But it is a different perspective. It is an educated perspective, and it is not for clicks or effect.
Nope. All right. Time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with the Connor Thomas.
And it's brought to us by Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name, Lundy Law, your injury lawyers. Visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com. Guys, I know what went wrong with the Eagles season, and it's on every single Philadelphia Eagles fan. More so than Kevin Petulo,
Fans
more
are to
so
blame.
than Nick Sirianni. 100% they are, because we have a guaranteed way to win. We're on Witch Watch again. Have you seen the latest Etsy Witch?
No, I don't believe in this stuff.
Well, you should start believing in it because UConn basketball has not won at the Prudential Center on the road against Seton Hall in 5 years. So a UConn basketball fan named Greg went to Etsy, paid the witch, said, hey, remove the curse. The day before UConn goes into the Prudential Center and wins for the first time in 5 years.
So how come it didn't work for the Phillies against the Dodgers?
It didn't work for that,
I know
yes.
people did
And they
Etsy witches
did.
for
Well,
the
maybe
Phillies.
they double Etsy witched. We need more.
All right. I just know the Etsy witches in Philadelphia don't work.
Okay.
So maybe you need
We'll outsource it.
Maybe you need better Etsy wishes.
right. Maybe we need outside Etsy's. All
Yes,
right.
we got to step out. But so many
Do
people.
you believe in witches?
Yes, I do, but I don't think our witches are good enough to help our baseball team.
So we need to up the witches. New OC, hire better witches. Now, are you guys familiar with what the FA Cup is in the football world? Not American football,
No.
but football.
No.
So the FA Cup is a basically
Respectfully.
all-pro teams tournament in the United Kingdom. So this would be, to use baseball as an example, the Phillies would be in it, and then AAA teams, AA teams, single A teams, college teams, like all different levels are invited to this one tournament. It goes on for months.
Okay.
And the biggest upset in the history of this tournament happened with Macclesfield knocking off Crystal Palace, a Premier
Whoa.
League side who won it last year.
isn't
Macclesfield-
that Josh Harris's team?
yeah, it is.
Right? It is. Wow.
But Crystal Palace goes out, and
the Atlanta
Macclesfield's
Hawks.
got guys. There's a player, Sam Heathcote, who the next day after knocking off the defending FA Cup champions goes in. He's a gym teacher. How cool is stuff like that?
That's awesome.
Just
Wow.
a very fun sports story from across the pond over there.
Remember the embarrassing Phillies loss in spring training a couple of years ago?
To what, Tampa?
Yeah. Well, this was when the Phillies were bad. They were a bad baseball team, and they lost to whichever school in Florida.
Yeah, I think it was University of
I
Tampa.
think you're
yeah.
right. And it was oh my God. Remember all those debates? Would this Alabama team beat the Cleveland Browns? Well, a college baseball team literally beat the Phillies once.
Yeah, and apparently in soccer, you're able to knock off some of the top dogs. So a great upset there. I'd love to see that more in American sports.
What was it, a 1-0 game?
I didn't check the score. I just know that they won.
I'm sure it was exciting.
I'm sure it was.
What else we got?
All right, the last thing, I'm sure you saw the video. We haven't talked about it because Eagles stuff, but Mites on Ice turned into Fights on Ice.
Yeah, that was
at the
nuts.
Hershey Bears game with a brawl with a bunch of 9-year-olds out there. Now a lot of investigations going on, the Athletic reporting that all of these different organizations are investigating into how the brawl happened, and there's going to be issues coming down.
The brawl will happen. It wasn't stopped.
No.
How did the parents not get involved?
Nobody stopped it. And it went on for a while.
What buffoons are allowed to coach young kids nowadays?
Probably the same coach that yelled at that teenage ref.
Well, that buffoon should never be on a bench again.
Well, I know the Flyers youth program got rid of the guy.
Good.
So
Now, why would we not let the Mites drop the gloves?
No, that should stop.
I'm fine with the Mites dropping the gloves.
No,
it
you're
went
not.
on
No,
for
you're not.
10 minutes.
No, you're not.
Kid Fight Club. That's where I
Absolutely.
send Coop.
That's what the daycare
Coop
is,
doesn't
right?
go to real
You
daycare. He
teach him
goes to
how to
Kid
swing?
Fight Club.
But
All right,
yes,
good job,
Make sure
Connor.
kids aren't fighting each other on the ice.
All right, coming up next, Adam Schefter, 805. We'll check our text line. Shefty, the latest on the firing of Kevin Patullo, the removal of Kevin Patullo.
The removal is the word, right?
And what's next for the offensive coordinator position in Philadelphia? Just how much do people want this job? It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Eagles make the move. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles announced yesterday that they are moving on from offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo in that role, a move that many thought was coming after the season ended in the wild card round. They have not removed him from the organization, so he could return to a previous role like passing game coordinator. But the Eagles were 19th in the NFL in points per game, 18th in rushing yards per game, and 23rd in passing yards per game under Patullo with an incredibly high-priced offense. Adam Schefter, who's going to join us coming up next, talked about the move on ESPN overnights.
You could tell. That's the move that comes right after the season. That's where they believe their focus and emphasis needs to be as they start to retool that roster and look ahead to the 26th season.
We're going to get a lot more thoughts from Shefty coming up next, and the Eagles now have a major coaching position to fill as the offseason gets going. Sixers host the Cavs tonight at 7 p.m. Edgecombe, Embiid, George, all listed as probable. You can hear that game live here on the Fanatic. Flyers are in Buffalo taking on the Sabres, 7:30 p.m. puck drop. You can hear that game live over on WMMR. We're also going to talk to NFL analyst and former NFL QB Sean Salisbury at 9:05 for his thoughts on what happened with the Eagles, specifically Jalen Hurts this year. This update's brought to you by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MADD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MADD-HELP or visit MADD.org. I'm Connor Thomas for your home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the Best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. Let's get back to more of Kincade and Salciunas right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Yep, it is 8 o'clock on this Wednesday morning here on 97.5 The Fanatic. We're going to be joined by our man Adam Schefter coming up in 5 minutes to get the latest on the decision to part ways with Kevin Patullo. What could his role still be with the Philadelphia Eagles? Because he was not fired from the organization. He was just removed from the offensive coordinator position. Again, the statement from Nick Sirianni with the Philadelphia Eagles: I've decided to make a change at offensive coordinator. I met with Kevin today to discuss the difficult decision, as he is a great coach who has my utmost respect. He has been integral to this team's success over the last 5 years, not only to the on-field product, but behind the scenes as a valued leader for our players and organization. I have no doubt he will continue to have a successful coaching career. Ultimately, when he falls short of our goals, that responsibility lies on my shoulders. And so today, our topic for you to join in on at 610-632-0975. Yesterday, we had Zach Berman on, and Zach Berman just sort of made a comment during his interview about, hey, you know, I know this is unpopular and it's not what people want to hear, but to finish 11-6 and win the division after winning the Super Bowl, there's a lot of teams that would want to be in that position. And then later on Unfiltered, Bill and Andrew DeCecco basically said the same thing, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody feels things differently. I just could not disagree with that sentiment more. I can't.
I actually was a little infuriated by it.
My blood was boiling. I texted you guys right away because I know you were at class.
And I was driving home listening to Unfiltered, and they were talking about it, and I was out of my mind.
And Connor lives the single life, so you know I'm sitting at home cleaning.
He might have been napping,
listening to them on the air, and I was like, I had to text you guys. I texted Bill right away. Thanks for the topic tomorrow. Heart emoji. I appreciate you. I can't feel that way. I can't angry. Either. I'm disappointed. And since the show has started, we have had a couple of people tell us that they are over it. They don't feel the way that those three fine gentlemen feel, Berman, Bill, and DeCecco, but they're over it. I'm not there yet either.
Look, the
playoffs are still going on. I have to watch the San Francisco 49ers go to Seattle. I still have to watch the team that beat the Eagles play football.
Now, here's one thing I can tell you is you don't have to watch it.
Yeah, I know.
Because
I'm going to.
I think I will find – I right now, I know I'm probably going to cave, but I'm not going to make an appointment to watch it. Let's put it that way. I'm such a bitter Betty.
Saturday night, dry January,
I'm such a bitter Betty.
Football.
We already made dinner reservations after church. Nice. I'm like trying to do just –
yeah, but the game's not till 8 o'clock, that one.
Yeah, that sucks.
Dinner, unless you're having a 6-hour affair at dinner, I don't think that's happening.
Maybe.
All right, what do we got on the text line? We've been bouncing back and forth between texts and calls, 610-632-0975. Are you somebody that is like Bill and Zach Berman and Andrew DeCecco, where you go, hey, they won the Super Bowl, they finished 11-6, they won the division, that's great? Or are you somebody that has gotten over it, like we've had people chime in on? Or are you like me and John, where these feelings have not gone away yet? What do we got on the text line?
Jim in Nazareth checks in, and he's the first person that we've had check in that agrees with Zach Berman and Andrew DeCecco. He says, yeah, I absolutely agree with them. It's not what we wanted to see, but we could be out here as one of these teams that's supposed to be a contender and miss the playoffs. Am I happy with what happened? No. But I'm also not doing what most of the fan base is doing and overreacting and wanting to blow the whole thing up and start over.
I have not heard one person. That's total false narrative right there. He just said the majority of the fan base. Read that last line again.
What most of the fan base is doing.
That is totally false. Most of the fan base is not overreacting, saying blow it all up, start all over.
They wanted to change it offensive coordinator.
Not one person in the entire day, yesterday or today or Monday, has suggested blowing up the Eagles, starting all over.
No, the window is still open.
Not one text, not one caller, not one host has suggested that. So that is a complete false narrative to try to make a point.
Right, but he's still saying he's okay with what happened. So he is on that side, whether that part is hyperbolic or not.
Yeah, but he's trying to make a point with a false point. That's a false point. Not one person has said blow up the Eagles. Not one. All we've said is it was a disgrace what they did with the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a disgrace back in February.
Terrible.
Whenever the official news came out that he was promoted to offensive coordinator. So what's next for the Philadelphia Eagles? Well, now they need to find a new offensive coordinator, another offensive coordinator for Jalen
Wow.
Hurts. This goes back to his high school days, if you think about it, if you go that far back. And we're joined now from ESPN, the great Adam Schefter. Shefty, first and foremost, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm sure it's nice and quiet and calm in the city. So happy to be along for the ride.
Yeah, what else is new? Nice and calm and quiet in Philadelphia. So, Adam, obviously the news is that Kevin Patullo is no longer the offensive coordinator, so I don't need you to break that for me. But I'll ask you this. Was there at any point after the clock hit 0 against the San Francisco 49ers and up until the announcement from Nick Sirianni that you believe there was any chance that Kevin Patullo would return as offensive coordinator?
No. I mean, when you go through a season like they had and finished the season with the game they had, to me it just seals the deal. I mean, we all saw the way the offense struggled all year long. We all saw that it didn't play near its capabilities and the way it had last year. And when that happens, there are always going to be changes. So I don't know why anybody would have thought that there would have been a different result than the one we got yesterday. Like, to me, it was obvious and inevitable.
When the next offensive coordinator is hired, do you believe that they are going to say to the offensive coordinator that it could be more of a hire like a Vic Fangio, where we have been led to believe that Vic has been tossed the keys and is allowed to do his own thing? Or is it going to be an offensive coordinator that comes in here and has to do things again with what Nick Sirianni wants to do?
I don't know how that's going to work because you don't know who they're going to hire.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, are they looking for someone like a Vic Fangio who can come in here and pretty much run the whole show?
John, I think you're looking for the best guy for that job, whatever that is. Whether that means that guy's running the show or whether he works with Nick and whatever it is, whatever they think the best combination is. I think ideally the guy's running his offense. I mean, if they're hiring him for a reason. So, I mean, everybody's got a job, and that's the coordinator's job. Vic runs the defense. The offense coordinator should run the offense. It's not hard. And Nick oversees everything and makes sure that everything's fitting together, functioning the right way. I mean, in a perfect, simple world, that's how it operates. Now, you can adjust and tailor it from there. But I think you got to see who you're going to hire. What's his relationship with Nick? What are his ideas on offense? Maybe it's the kind of guy that wants Nick's input. Maybe it's a guy that doesn't want any input and he wants to run his show in its entirety. Like, we don't know who it is. We don't know his outlook. We don't know his perspective, his philosophy. It's hard to predict that in advance to me.
So, Adam, who do you believe are some of the top candidates for the Philadelphia Eagles job when it comes to the vacant offensive coordinator position?
I think I would look at all the guys who are on the interview circuit now. We could just cull together all the names. And most any of them with an offensive background that don't get a head coaching job, you immediately could put into the bucket of candidates. That would be, I would think, under consideration. So I don't have it in front of me. Like, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Who are the offensive guys who are interviewing?
Well, Todd
Monken.
Right. Todd Monken is one that we're talking about.
Todd Monken. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, again, there's going to be a lot of guys that Mike McDaniel was in Detroit yesterday interviewing. That would be a logical one to me. But there's going to be a lot of people that want him. And for all we know, he gets a head coaching job. So who knows if that's going to be the guy.
So you mentioned Shefty. I'm sorry, the best candidate, right? When John brought up, would you get somebody that would just run the offense or tailor to what Nick Sirianni does? Would they look for a guy that won't? You're mentioning guys that won't get a head coaching job that could maybe fall back to this OC position. The running story in Philadelphia has been good OC gets a new head coach, gets a head coaching job with the Philadelphia Eagles. Could they potentially look for somebody that they say, this guy will be the OC for years successfully and, of course, will not go and get another head coaching job?
but it's like that's like threading a needle. Like New England hired Josh McDaniels, and the Patriots, in my mind, got very fortunate because Josh has had his chances as a head coach, and you would think that nobody's rushing out to hire him a third time as a head coach. His family's entrenched there, so it works perfectly for the Patriots. So they get a non-offensive mind head coach in Vrabel, and then an offensive mind head coach who probably isn't going to get a lot of consideration for a head coaching job anytime soon. But that's a unique situation. So who would that guy be now? Like, I don't know, like Brian Daboll, I'm just bringing up a name. You know, he's going to aspire to be a head coach. He's interviewing Friday for the Titans head coaching job. So, you know, is there a guy that's kind of blown through his head coaching chances?
A name that has popped up around here, of course it will pop up, is does a guy like Frank Reich still want to coach, or is he done?
That's an interesting name. I kind of like that, to be honest with you.
It seems back to the future to me. I almost expect to see Michael J. Fox getting out of the Lamborghini or whatever it is. I mean, like it to me, DeLorean. It just seems like you're going back in time trying to recapture magic. I don't know that I'm into it.
Well, but again, okay, do you want a guy that's young, progressive, innovative, that is going to aspire to leave, and if he does a great job in Philadelphia, like you want, he could be gone after a year. You want that to happen, okay? Or do you want to just bring in Back to the Future guy and know that he's safe and sound, but your offense may not be as innovative and as imaginative as some of these other places?
Shefty, what does it say about Nick Sirianni that it almost feels like he needs to have the perfect offensive coordinator? You can't deny the success that he's had, right? He's been to 2 Super Bowls, and I will not deny the success. But it's weird. Wild card exit, Super Bowl loss. Wild card exit, Super Bowl win. Wild card exit. And those 2 wild card exits that I just mentioned have been with offensive coordinators that were one and done. They do 1 season, they're out. Does that say anything about Nick Sirianni, who's supposed to be an offensive backgrounded head coach?
I don't know. If it does, I don't know what it says that's overly significant. To me, that's his background, and somehow I would have liked to have seen him had a bigger impact and imprint on the offense, especially in the years that it was struggling. Now, maybe he did, and maybe he didn't have the answers. I don't know that much of the inner working details to be qualified to truly answer that. But I would like to think that he would be able to put his stamp on that offense when it's struggling. And whether he did or he didn't, it just didn't work. Whatever they did didn't work. You know, they had one final drive, the offense to pull it out, to save the season, and they didn't get it done. And it was the story of the season.
There's a lot of turmoil. The Sirianni administration, it's a lot of highs, it's a lot of lows. I got to wonder how it's perceived around the league when people look at the success or the turmoil. And they try to balance it out of what they think of his tenure here.
John, there's so much stuff going on around the league that I haven't heard a single word about Sirianni right now, to be honest with you.
Your phone's been busy, you're saying.
I'm living in a Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, Kevin Stefanski, Matt LaFleur universe. I haven't heard Nick Sirianni's name once in the last couple of weeks, to be perfectly frank. So I don't think anybody around the league is talking. It is a Philly topic right now, through and through.
So, Shefty, you may not have heard anybody say anything about Nick Sirianni. What about A.J. Brown? We know the season was filled with drama. Right. He was not as elite as he has been in years past. I mean, just look at this past Sunday's game with the 3 big drops on just 7 targets. What are people saying around the league about A.J. Brown and his future with the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, I think he becomes a trade candidate here. There's been enough noise around that with him wanting out. There's been enough focus and attention in that area. I think it would be a surprise if there weren't talks to see, okay, well, what could he bring back? To me, I see him playing in New England next year under Mike Vrabel. Like, that would make a lot of sense to me. So the Patriots have been in the market for a wide receiver for a while. Vrabel probably rued the day that they ever traded A.J. Brown. Different guy. But I could see the Patriots rolling the dice on a guy like that. I think that his name will come up. I expect it to come up in trade talks this offseason.
And then, of course, there's some key free agents that we're starting to take a look at. Jalen Phillips, the player that they acquired via the trade deadline, and, of course, he's a free agent now. He was impactful, but the Eagles have a lot of money tied up on offense. They have a lot of other players on defense that they have to start thinking about paying, like a Jalen Carter. Do you see a future for Jalen Phillips in Philadelphia?
I'll just say this. When you come up a season like this one, and I don't know how it's going to go and where it's going to go, but when you come up a season like that ends the way it does, I expect there to be more change than people would expect. It's just the way that they operate and the way they roll. When they don't achieve results, they double up efforts to make sure there are results the next year. And they do have a lot of money tied up in certain areas and key financial decisions to make. And my guess is whatever you could imagine for this offseason to look like, it'll be busier and more active than that. That's my belief.
Well, good thing we have you on every Wednesday to talk about
good.
those changes. One more thing for you, Adam, and we appreciate the time as always. The wording of the departure of Kevin Patullo, he was not removed from the organization, at least as of now. So any whispers on what the future of Kevin Patullo is with the Philadelphia Eagles? And if he does stay, does that lead to any weird work environment, or is everybody just professional enough to just move forward?
That's a Kevin Patullo issue, really, to be honest with you. Like, if you feel like this organization outed you from the job that you had and you're comfortable staying on in a lesser role, then no problem. But my reading between the lines is that what it is, okay, we are firing you as our offensive coordinator. We are going to, you can put whatever pretty words you want on it, okay? He's fired as the offensive coordinator, okay? Now, if we're going to be honest, we are open, Kevin, to having you stay because we think a lot of you and we like you. But you also have the opportunity to look around, and so if he comes up with something that he likes that is better than what he thinks he hasn't, they'll leave. And if he doesn't, they'll welcome him back in a lesser role. So that, to me, is a Kevin Patullo question. Like I said, the Eagles like and respect him, so they're happy to have him around, but he has to be the one that's comfortable taking a lesser role after he was moved out of that job.
All right.
Thank you,
Shefty,
buddy.
we appreciate the time as always, man, and we'll talk to you next week and every week after that as we talk about this, what could be very busy offseason for the Eagles. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
They're all busy. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it very much.
There is Adam Schefter. Join us there from ESPN. I just saw in our YouTube chat from D Flyers, you can't let that mutt hang around when it comes to Kevin Patullo.
No, I think he needs to move on.
But if he doesn't find another job,
then that is just this is not the Nick Sirianni jobs program.
Well, I mean, wasn't it not last year?
No, well, and it failed miserably.
With arms wide open.
It is not the Nick Sirianni jobs program.
He would take Kevin back in a heartbeat.
You need to move on from it. It's done. There needs to be a clean break. Go. He showed this year.
So the New England Patriots, where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, that's been going on for like 2 years now. I don't know why the Eagles would have done it last year. There was a lot of talk, would you trade A.J. Brown for the 3rd overall pick, like talk last year? It wasn't going to happen. But now that this season went the way that it did, and A.J. left the way that he did,
right?
And there is definitely a connection between him and Mike Vrabel. I could see it happening.
Right.
I wonder what the haul is.
I don't think you're getting a haul. He makes too much money.
Yeah. And
there's not many. The amount of teams that could take on that contract is one thing. Then you're talking about the haul. You're not getting a haul for A.J. Brown.
By the way, the cap hits. So there's the June 1st date, the pre-June 1st, post-June 1st. So according to a million people on social media, if the Eagles traded A.J. Brown before June 1st, right? Like it's emotional. Let's get him out of here. The dead cap hit would be over $43 million.
You can't
if they waited until after June 1st, it would be a dead cap hit of just over $16 million for this year, and then $27 million in 2027.
You can't. That's a lot to somebody to take that on. So the value you're getting in return is going to be down. If they got a second-round pick, I would honestly be conditional second. I would be shocked.
Okay.
That's the kind of, you're talking about, it's a lot of money to take on.
Yeah.
It is Howie, though. So that's the one thing you can kind of lean back on.
You're not getting a 1. There's no way they're getting a 1.
No, yes.
If you get a 2, Howie's worked a master class.
Absolutely. A.J. Brown's contract through the 2029 season. There is a potential out
after 2028?
After 27.
After 27.
But he would have to still be here, which I don't think that's going to happen. And Shefty made that pretty clear just now.
Well, giving out your autographed jerseys.
Yeah.
Like you're sort of just saying it.
Goodbye. Yeah. All right, coming up next. Is it difficult to find the right offensive coordinator for Jalen Hurts? There was an interesting segment on NFL Live that I caught about what the Eagles should do. You'll hear the panel. I wonder if we agree. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Sorry about that. Hey, I'm happy. I am absolutely happy to have a Bradford White water heater because Bradford White water heaters are built to be the best, and Bradford White water heaters are reliable. And that's what you want out of an appliance in your home. And many people don't even think about a water heater being an appliance, but they are. And you want super reliability. You want to make sure that whenever you want to have that hot water, to be able to have a shower, to be able to run your dishwasher, to be able to run your laundry, you've got the best working for you. And a Bradford White is absolutely fantastic. Their Infinity tankless models are amazing because these things are so small now. They take up such little space, and a lot of people in smaller homes want to be able to have much more efficient use of their space. Their Aerotherm hybrid heat pump models, well, let's just say it sounds space age, and they are. And they do great, great work. And they save you cash on being able to heat your water very efficiently, but they're also saving you space, and it's absolutely amazing. You can even mount some of these on the walls. It's incredible. They're built to be the best, top performance year after year, and plumbing professionals know all about Bradford White and their quality. So go to BradfordWhite.com to learn more and find the plumbing professional near you that will bring one to your home, install it for peak efficiency. Because how you heat your water, it matters. Choose Bradford White.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
A coaching change for the Birds. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles announced yesterday that they are moving on from Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator, a move that many thought was coming after the season ended in the wild card round. Now, he's not removed from the organization, so he could take on a different, lesser role, but the Eagles were 19th in the NFL in points per game, 18th in rushing yards per game, and 23rd in passing yards per game under Patullo as OC. Adam Schefter, who just joined us, talked a little bit on ESPN Overnights about the move.
It'll be the 5th straight season that they're making a change at offensive coordinator. It is yet another new offensive system and play caller for Jalen Hurts. They now have to go out and hire somebody.
And Schefter just told us, hey, look at all of the offensive minds out on the market. The Eagles are going to be interested in many options. So we'll keep you updated on what happens with the hiring process. Sixers host the Cavs tonight at 7 p.m. Edgecombe, Embiid, and George are all listed as probable. You can hear that game live here on the Fanatic. Flyers are in Buffalo taking on the Sabres, 7:30 p.m. puck drop. You can hear that game live over on WMMR. Coming up at 9:05, we'll talk to NFL analyst and former NFL QB Sean Salisbury on the Jalen Hurts conversation. This update's brought to you by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org. I'm Connor Thomas for your home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
97.5, The Fanatic.
8:31 here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Thanks to Adam Schefter for joining us, as he does every single week. A.J. Brown to the Patriots feels very real.
Really?
I mean, it's been talked about for a year and a half now.
Okay, 32 teams.
Yeah.
31 could make an offer.
Sure.
Like, I know everybody just says it, but it's like 31 teams can make an offer.
Here's why it makes sense. They need a receiver.
Okay.
Right? Like, Stephon Diggs had a resurgence this year. And then who? Right? Like, there's not many, like, receivers on the Patriots where you're like, yeah, that's a guy that's that Drake May's gonna have for 5 years.
You don't like Kayshon Boutte?
No, he was good for some fantasy sneaky pickups over the season, but they need help at receiver, and the Vrabel connection, I think, is definitely real.
Yeah, but the thing is, the Eagles have to trade him. He's under a long-term contract. The Eagles have to trade him. Why would the Eagles be motivated to pick the Patriots, like where AJ would want to go, where Vrabel has a connection with him?
Well,
there's going to be other teams that are going to, if AJ Brown's out there, there's going to be 4, 5, 6 teams that are going to want him.
Patriots are an AFC team. Like Green Bay would love a wide receiver like AJ Brown.
Yeah,
I don't see the Eagles moving him to Green Bay, a team you could run
Not a
up
bad
against.
point at all.
I mean, a lot of the teams that I think about are probably NFC teams with these young, somewhat established quarterbacks. Look at Carolina. Maybe they think they're a wide receiver away from making a jump with Bryce Young. New Orleans, Tyler Shuck. Like, you don't want to trade him somewhere in the NFC where you could run into him.
Do you, if you're an organization right now, you feeling comfortable about your young quarterback having A.J. Brown?
If they throw the ball a lot, absolutely.
The minute that he does it, you don't do what he wants or he isn't happy, he's going to be subtweeting you. He's going to be sulking around. He's going to be. He was a very poor example of leadership this year.
But you also have 4 other years in Philly. 3 or 4 other years in Philly where he was pretty darn safe. And also, there are a lot of other teams that are more pass happy than the Eagles are the anomaly in the modern NFL.
They are. That is correct.
They sure as
they
hell
absolutely are.
And they won with that running the football style. And then it didn't work this year, and they never changed their mind. All right, yesterday on NFL Live, after the news broke that Kevin Patullo would no longer be the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, to literally nobody's surprise whatsoever. Respectfully, I don't think Kevin would tell you that he was surprised that he was moved on from.
No, he was not to blame. If you go by Nick Foles' podcast and everything, he was not to blame.
Some people are saying Jason Kelce.
He was saying it. He was telling people.
That's right. Yeah.
He was crying about it.
He was texting Ryan Fitzpatrick.
It's incredible.
Yesterday on NFL Live, so the panel that you will hear here is Marcus Spears, Mina Kimes, and Dan Orlovsky, and it's interesting conversation about getting Jalen Hurts involved with the new offensive coordinator, but also who Jalen Hurts is as a quarterback. Take a listen.
When you look at this organization in Philly and Nick Sirianni, which I think this comes down to, what's best for Jalen Hurts needs to be the first question and the priority. Who's the best guy? Who's the best candidate? He should be a part of this process as well, as far as figuring out who's going to be the next offensive coordinator and spending that majority of time with Jalen as well. So this is not just about getting a guy that we've seen do a really good job. This is about getting a guy that obviously can deal with Jalen Hurts and his personality and how he goes about his business. It's about dealing with the stars that's around him, even if A.J. Brown is gone, how he is still going to get really good players within that organization as well. So I don't think this is just a blanketed, let's find some good offensive coordinator and let him come in. This is about working with the players that he's going to walk in the building with.
You have to find someone who is willing and capable of calling an offense that's oriented around what Jalen Hurts is good at and acknowledging what he's not. Sure. I mean, we look at all these Shanahan offenses and we love them. You're watching the Niners against them, attacking the middle of the field. I'm sorry, Jalen Hurts is just never going to do what we saw Brock Purdy do.
I have pause with the Mike McDaniel part because that's where Mike thrives at.
Yeah. And that's why I keep going back to the run game. You build this thing around the run game, and that's what you need for this quarterback to succeed. We've seen him succeed with that before.
It's interesting because we talk about Jalen's limitations a lot on this show, and there's a lot of pushback but he wins, and he does win.
No, the Eagles win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, Jalen is not again, the Super Bowls and the NFC Championship games.
He was spectacular.
He's spectacular, right? So,
absolutely awesome.
But look, these are the people that cover the league even more so than us, and they're talking about the limitations. And when Marcus Spears says, Jalen should be part of the process, he absolutely should be part of the process. But let's not forget that I imagine he was a big proponent of picking Brian Johnson, and we know that was a disaster too because of the connection with Brian Johnson. So when you're looking at offensive coordinators, you have to keep the quarterback in mind, but just how much?
By the way, there is one from a little birdie listening to us discuss this.
Hello.
Sends a little birdie text along saying you can probably leave Adam could probably leave Mike McDaniel off the list.
Okay.
As long as Vic Fangio's in the building.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think about that.
Mike McDaniel and Vic Fangio aren't going to be.
Yeah, but Mike's not his boss.
I understand, but working in the same building, they work very tightly together. They're in tight spaces together. That's probably not happening.
Okay.
And I don't think that Mike McDaniel runs the offense that Nick Sirianni wants to run anyway.
Or that Jalen Hurts can thrive in, as you just heard in that clip. Like they straight up said Mike McDaniel's offense does not make sense with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I don't.
But this is when it's interesting because we just had Shefty on, right? So it's actually sometimes you luck into things doing a show. Shefty said you should hire the best guy, right? Whoever the best candidate is, hire that best candidate. Best candidate might mean somebody that doesn't fit with what Jalen Hurts can do.
But then Nick will get less. Look, what has Nick faced since he's gotten here? What do you do?
Yeah.
If he brings in Mike McDaniel, which is counter to what he wants offensively.
We don't motion, just emotion was a quote that Nick Sirianni said at a press conference.
Then what is everybody going to say? Hey, Nick, what is it that you do?
Right.
You're not Michael Clay. You're not Mike McDaniel. You're not Vic Fangio. So what is it you do?
I'm the head coach of the football team.
Pose for the cameras on Hard Knocks?
He's the head coach. Remember that was when Kellen Moore got hired. That was a question at a press conference, and he said, "I'm the head coach of the football team."
Yeah, because right now, I mean, if you bring in Mike McDaniel, you're literally saying that you are disregarding everything that Nick Sirianni embraces about offensive football. It's the complete opposite side of the coin of an offensive philosophy.
Yeah.
So that would be Nick saying, "My bad. I'm willing to do something totally different."
Yeah, the thing with Nick is interesting because every time he gets a chance to talk about the offense, he says, like, my offense, or he says it's a collaboration, which says, hey, I'm included. But we've also seen him multiple times as Eagles head coach give up responsibility and be okay with that, from play calling to just more control over the offense. So he's a guy that it sometimes is very arrogant seeming, but also the track record would tell you he's comfortable in allowing other people to step up.
Well, he gave play calling up to Shane Steichen. He didn't give up control of the offense.
Right.
It was still his offense, the play calling. He gave up to Brian Johnson play calling,
but his offense.
He's never given up his offense. So
right.
Mike McDaniel coming in would be saying, "You're running your offense, not mine." So it's completely different.
He doesn't have the same stature as Vic Fangio, but it would be a Vic Fangio-like position where you're the head coach of the offense, Vic Fangio's the head coach of the defense, and Nick Sirianni is the head coach.
I would love to see it. But I don't want Mike McDaniel, though, I don't want here.
Well, but again, the reason why we play that clip is they're talking about you got to find a coordinator that fits with Jalen. Shefty's telling us you got to find the best offensive coordinator available. But that may not fit to what Jalen does well or doesn't do.
See, I think it would be I like it's weird. Look, the amount of respect I have for the amount of respect I have for Schefter's huge. That's crazy to me. You've got Jalen Hurts as your franchise quarterback. You are not choosing a offensive coordinator that does things that completely are counter to his game. That would be dumb.
Now,
that would be dumb.
I'm curious. You brought up Frank Reich to Shefty.
And I just put that there because it was a name that was talked about a lot yesterday on Unfiltered. I am, by the way, anti it. I sent Ricky Bo a text because Ricky Bo was like, "Can we move into this century?" And I am the same way. I am anti any kind of Back to the Future.
I'm anti it too. You know why?
Why?
Nick was already too tight with KP. Frank Reich's like his uncle.
Yeah, but Frank Reich has forgotten more about offensive football than Nick knows.
He's allowed to like the guys he works with. We just need them to be competent guys.
Well, Frank Reich is
he can like the guy, but he also has to hold them to a certain expectation, certain standard. Like, I like you, Connor. If you screw up, I tell you that you screw up, right? Like, I don't know if Nick does that.
I'm not worried
He clearly
about
didn't do it with Patul. He did not ever want to change anything.
I'm not worried about Frank Reich having to be held accountable.
Yeah, me either.
Frank Reich is a man that has had a 35-year career, player, coach. I'm not worried about him being held accountable. I don't want him for the job. I do not want to go back to the dusty, bookcase.
Gotcha.
Enough of that.
All right. You can text in, call in 610-632-0975. Our topic today, are you saying, good season? Because Zach Berman and Andrew DeCecco basically said, hey, put it into context, perspective with other teams in the league, there's teams that would die for what the Eagles have had.
Yes, we're not them.
That's not how I operate in life. Or are you already over it? Like numerous people have now chimed in about the Wednesday after they got eliminated in the first round of the freaking playoffs. If it was the NFC Championship game, that's one thing. First round! Something to be proud of. 610-632-0975. Also, a talking point that we had all summer. I want to go back to it. We were very confident in this, and it blew up in our face. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, the Fanatic.
Dan White and Associates has been around for around 4 decades. They didn't go out in the first round. They keep winning and winning and winning. Why? They specialize in retirement and financial planning. And how do they do that? Well, they work with each client individually, and they assess their needs specifically. So if you're someone who's further along the road and you're closer to retirement, why don't you attend one of their educational seminars that they host throughout Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland? You go, you can be a passive listener if you wish. Just listen to their presentation, find out what they can do for you, and then you can set up your own complimentary no-risk consultation. Some people are very uncomfortable talking about money, and they understand that. But your finances in retirement doesn't have to be an overwhelming topic. They can make sure that you have created the income in retirement that will help you support the lifestyle that you want to live. Get that complimentary no-risk consultation. Have it for yourself. Have the consultation. And when you do, I promise you, that road to the future is going to feel like it's a beautiful paved highway that you can do 70 on, as long as the police aren't watching. Visit danwhiteandassociates.com. They're the best, and they're going to make you feel comfortable about your financial future.
Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
8:47 here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Coming up at 9:05. Very excited for this. We're going to be joined by Sean Salisbury, who used to play in the NFL, college quarterback at USC for 4 years.
ESPN for years.
ESPN for a long time. I used to have him on with Mikey Miss a lot.
I worked with him at ESPN Radio. He was fantastic. Great dude.
He has a lot to say.
Yeah.
He does.
And he understands quarterback play really, really well.
So
and he's very shy. He doesn't have many opinions.
No, that's not true.
He's going to let it fly.
So Sean Salisbury is going to join us at 9:05 to talk about Jalen Hurts. And there's a lot of people outside of Philadelphia that are saying it's more on the players than it was on Kevin Patullo. There are players of the Eagles that said, hey, don't point the finger at KP. I think a lot of that is just trying to be respectful and try to take a bullet for a guy. It was a disaster this year. The Eagles agreed. It's why he got fired within 48 hours, right? If it was so much the players and not the offensive coordinator, why would he be fired within 48 hours? Period. The argument is over.
It's over.
Because the Eagles agree, ultimately. Nick Sirianni ultimately agrees.
They answered the question for you, but I don't think it came from Nick Sirianni.
No, it came from upstairs.
I think Nick Sirianni was told.
Yeah.
You are making this move.
He said, "Yes, sir." And
yes, sir.
I'll go do it.
He didn't do a Doug Peterson.
No. So when it comes to Jalen Hurts, how much of this season was on him? And when it comes to finding the next offensive coordinator, who are you looking for? Sean can break down quarterbacks like the best of them, so we'll speak with him at 9:05. One talking point that happened this summer a lot that absolutely made sense. I was reading an article from NBC Sports Philadelphia where they were kind of just doing a write-up of the end of the year.
Okay.
How many times did we talk about 10 of 11 starters returning on offense?
All the time.
And that made me
All
feel
the time.
so good. And that's why we didn't have patience to start the year offensively, because they had the same offense except for Tyler Steen.
No, we talked about that all the time.
That doesn't happen often in football, where you get that much parity, that much, guys returning.
No.
And they wasted it.
They wasted that big time. And because you turned the keys over to an incompetent guy. It's terrible.
The Lane Johnson injury was a big factor.
8 weeks.
Very big factor. And Andrew DeCecco pointed that out. We had our caller, Chris from North Wales, that was upset with DeCecco for pointing out. The facts are the facts. And that's not just this year. Lane Johnson, in his career, went out, the Eagles lose. It's true.
They went 3-5 without him.
But even when he was in, the offense never looked the way it was supposed to look. It never looked good. It never gave you confidence.
Nope.
All right, let's go to MJ in Pottstown. What's up, MJ?
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, good morning to you.
I love the show.
Thank you, buddy.
Keeps me company while I'm on the road. Hey, guys, I like your takes and stuff like that, but, I got to voice my opinion on Hurts. Why does everything have to be so perfect in order for him to be successful?
Expound on that. Expound on that a little bit. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. He has to have a great O-line. He has to have a great defense around him. He's got to have top receivers around him. Okay, how many other quarterbacks don't have that, right? And they're still successful in spite of that. And I think in that game, the game we just saw, that was a complete debacle. He had an opportunity to put that team on his back, and I don't feel like he did. And I know he had some drop passes by AJ. That didn't help.
And Devontae, that drop pass on 3rd and 11 killed him.
They had the most third.
But he missed a lot of open receivers, and he continues to do that. And I think the problem here, guys, we're trying to cater to him instead of him coming out. Now, if he can't, my feeling is this: if you can't grow and expand, then maybe you need to move on from him after next year.
But here's the interesting thing, MJ, right? And look, it's a fascinating conversation,
it is a fascinating
and we appreciate the call.
We should do more of that tomorrow.
We are. Tomorrow's the take logic out of the conversation. Jalen Hurts say it was.
I want logic in it.
It was supposed to be today, but the comments made by Zach Berman and Andrew DeCecco kind of changed the way the show went. you're saying MJ just said if Jalen Hurts can't grow. His lack of growth in MJ's eyes, right? In MJ's mind, his lack of growth was still winning the freaking Super Bowl.
Correct.
He is the Super Bowl MVP. So if we're talking lack of growth, he still won the Super Bowl. Do I believe if Jalen Hurts was the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns that he'd be a Super Bowl quarterback? Absolutely not. I don't. It's weird. It's interesting when we talk about the talent around and the coaches. A lot of the best quarterbacks had the best talent.
Why is Josh Allen, though, not won a Super Bowl? Like, why do you think he's not won a Super Bowl? Because he hasn't had some of the things that Jalen Hurts has had around him. If Josh Allen had Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, do you think he'd have a Super Bowl by now?
Probably.
I do. Yeah.
Yes.
So, it's that you can't slam Jalen Hurts and say Jalen Hurts needs these things.
When a lot of guys need those things.
Yes. I think that Josh Allen would have a Super Bowl right now. I think Lamar Jackson would have a Super Bowl right now
who do you
if
believe
he had those guys.
Of the remaining teams in the NFC has the best quarterback?
In the NFC, Matt Stafford and the Rams.
Matt Stafford.
Who does he have?
I don't think it's close.
He has Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Sean McVay as the head coach. And Matthew Stafford is a very good quarterback. Matthew Stafford will go to the Hall of Fame.
He was a Hall of Fame quarterback before he ever ended up in L.A. and won a Super Bowl there.
But where did he benefit the most?
Yes.
L.A. with all the weapons and the coaches.
Correct.
So there's people that want to say Jalen is successful because of the pieces around him.
Every quarterback is. You know what? Joe Montana, greatest quarterback of all time from people. Yeah, Jerry Rice. Roger Craig, his head coach.
Mahomes has
Andy
arguably the
Reid.
best tight end in the history of the NFL, had one of the better speed receivers in Tyreek Hill, and had Andy Reid.
I mean,
he's amazing.
It's not that Jalen Hurts needs it. It's that Jalen Hurts had it
and benefits from it.
And by the way, and made the most of it.
Which is a key point.
What has Dak Prescott done with his wide receivers?
Yeah, well, he led the league or second most passing yards this year.
Okay, I don't give a damn about that. What has he done with it?
He hasn't won anything.
Josh Allen would have had with the weapons that he's had.
Yeah,
would have had numerous Super Bowls.
Tomorrow is the Jalen Hurts day that we were supposed to have today. That conversation is going to be an interesting one tomorrow, and it's probably going to tick people off. I can't wait for it. Coming up next, Sean Salisbury has been covering the NFL, played in the NFL for a very long time. His thoughts on Jalen Hurts. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Let me tell you guys, if anything is not feeling right, go to the doctor. Get it checked out. And then if a cancer diagnosis ever came into anyone in your family, make sure you check out the consultants in medical oncology and hematology. I was thrilled that my second-year scan came back yesterday completely clean. So Dr. John Sprandio Jr. and his entire team that has helped me through my cancer journey has now said, John, 2 years, you've made it through. You're doing well. Things are looking good. That's because I get my continued care through CMOH. They take great care of me, and I'm in there quarterly, and they're keeping an eye on me because surviving cancer is not something you just do in a matter of days. So if you get a cancer diagnosis in your family, let the entire team at CMOH make a difference for you. I can tell you that the protocol that saved my life was not even suggested by one of the big, hospital chains here in the Philadelphia area. They didn't even think that it would work for me. Well, thankfully, I'm here today because Dr. Sprandio and his team, they knew exactly where to get me in. They knew exactly what I needed, and then they took care of me. They literally held my hand at times when I needed it. I love these folks. They're family, and they'll do the same for you. CMOH.org. Check them out, and be sure to tell them that John Kincade gave you the highest recommendation possible.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Another new OC coming. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles announced yesterday that they're moving on from offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo, at least in that role. He may still stay with the organization, but that position's now open. That move was expected by a lot after the Eagles were 19th in the NFL in points per game, 18th in rushing yards per game, and 23rd in passing yards per game under Kevin Patullo. Adam Schefter, who joined us earlier today, reacted to the firing in real time yesterday on ESPN.
You could tell That's the move that comes right after the season. That's where they believe their focus and emphasis needs to be as they start to retool that roster and look ahead to the 26th season.
So obviously it was a focal point, but now it's another new play caller for Jalen Hurts and company, and that's something that the Eagles will have to contend with as their offseason continues. Who will fill that role? We'll keep you updated. Sixers host the Cavs tonight at 7 p.m. BJ Edgecombe, Joel Embiid, and Paul George all listed as probable for that game with the Cavs. You can hear it live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Flyers are up in Buffalo taking on the Sabres. 7:30 p.m. puck drop for them. You can hear that game over on our sister station, 93.3 WMMR. Don't miss Sean Salisbury, former NFL QB and current NFL analyst, joins us coming up next. I'm Connor Thomas for your home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Deciding to remove Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. Notice I said remove Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator because there is still not an official statement about whether or not he's been removed from the building. If your expectations were mine, which was just getting back to the NFC title game,
you wanted to yours was Final Four.
That was like my bar, right? They still fell 2 games shy of that bar. If your expectations or your bar was returning to the Super Bowl, you weren't even saying winning, just getting back to the Super Bowl, that fell 3 games short of the bar.
Correct.
If you thought that the defending Super Bowl champions could have a first-round bye, they fell 2 seeds shy of that by finishing as the 3 seed. If you thought that they would win 12 games, they finished 1 win shy of that, finishing with 11.
11-6 is below. What Bill's saying is you should be happy
that they won 11
with 11
games.
wins and win a division. Bull crap.
Yeah.
Like, Bill, you're out of your freaking mind, Bill. You're out of your mind. If you think the defending Super Bowl champions and you watched that season unfold and you think any Eagle fan should be content or pleased or okay with 11 wins and a division championship. By the way, a horrible division.
Yes.
Washington, terrible. Dallas, terrible. The Giants, terrible.
Somebody had to win.
What are you bragging about?
Now back to the show.
So coming up at 9:05, Sean Salisbury, former NFL quarterback, covers the NFL. You know, he was a longtime radio host, so we're excited. He has a lot to say. It'll be a very interesting conversation with Sean about Jalen Hurts and the state of the Philadelphia Eagles and the next offensive coordinator. But if you're just tuning in, you heard that little recap of what we talked about at the beginning of the show. Yesterday, we'll play both clips for you. We had Zach Berman on, and we were talking about Kevin Patullo, right? Because this was before he was fired as OC, but we kind of knew what was coming, so we were talking about Kevin Patullo and the Eagles' offense. And then Zach Berman took a bit of a detour and had this to say.
This might not be popular on talk radio to say. I don't think this was a disastrous season. I mean, the Eagles won 11 games. They won the NFC East. And I understand that they underachieved relative to their talent and relative to kind of what they thought they would be. But, if their down year is 11 wins and making the playoffs, that's pretty good compared to what happens elsewhere in the league.
Now, due to time constraints, we're not playing it, but I immediately bounced back, and I was like, Zach, hold on a second. I think this season was a total disaster, and I laid everything out, right? The amount of money that's on offense, the offense sucked. The open offensive coordinator position that was open for 5 minutes, and they just promoted from within. And then the wasted defense. And if you look at the NFC playoff picture, this was an opportunity where literally any team could have probably gotten to the Super Bowl, even though I thought there was no chance because the Eagles' offense was that bad. And our biggest fears led to the Eagles' loss on Sunday. And so I'm listening to Unfiltered yesterday afternoon after the news breaks that Kevin Petula was removed as OC. And hear Bill randomly bring up the Zach Berman audio with Andrew DeCecco.
And Zach Berman, I know you heard it, Andrew, was on the morning show this morning, and they're calling this season a disaster. And Berman's like, 11-6 in a division title. If that's a disaster season for the Eagles, I'm sure there's a lot of other franchises who would sign up for that to be a disaster.
Absolutely. I think perspective is important here. You look around the NFL, and I know that this isn't what they want to hear, but it's hard to win in this league. And I think sometimes that's taken for granted given the Eagles' level of success over the past 3-4 seasons. But, keep that in mind.
I'm very happy, John, that the Eagles are a team with expectations. Right? Very happy for that.
So
lucky for that.
Especially doing this job.
Very, very fortunate. But when Andrew mentions perspective and Zach Berman mentions perspective, I can fire right back with other perspective. There's teams that don't have expectations.
Correct.
And so why should I be like, oh, at least we have expectations? No, if we have expectations, I want them to come close to achieving those expectations.
Yes.
They fell short by 2 games for some of us. They fell 3 games short for some others.
When you are the defending Super Bowl champions, you do not compare your results to a team that is rebuilding. You don't compare yourself in a sample size to, the Giants had a crappy season. You don't compare yourself to the also-rans, the Cleveland Browns, and things like that. So throw out at least half the league. When you're the defending Super Bowl champs, you throw yourself up against the gold standard franchises. They didn't measure up. Own it. And that's what it is. And nobody should be pleased with it.
No.
No.
I understand if you told me 10 years ago, hey, the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl in 2024, and then they're going to follow it up with a division title the next year. Yeah,
yes.
I would sign up for it. But then when you live through it, you realize there are a lot of missed opportunities, and this season was a missed opportunity. All right, I mentioned it to you earlier, Johnny. You've been speaking to this man even more than I have.
I used to work with him at ESPN, and when I used to get to go up to Bristol and spend my weekends, if Sean was working that weekend, it always made it a little more fun.
And I used to produce the Mike Missinelli show, and we used to have Sean on all the time with Mikey Miss. He, of course, played in the NFL, played college football at USC, the host of Unpaved, which is a daily show on YouTube. Sean Salisbury joins us. Sean, good morning. Thanks for coming on today.
Oh, great to be with you guys. Both of you, unfortunately, had to run across me throughout your careers in different ways, but it's great to have good friends. And, Johnny, always great to know that you're doing well. You're one of the great battlers of all time. I got my guy Scott Mastello there.
Yes.
I might as well just move in and get a cot and be around you guys, but it's great to be on, man. I appreciate it. And I guess since it's the first time I've talked to you, Happy New Year to both of you and a great 2026.
Same to you, Sean. We'd welcome you. We do have a couple of couches here that you could sleep on, especially
would be the first time in my life.
Well, we need some insight from your vantage point. Today's been an interesting day because we've had people that cover the Eagles try to tell us, hey, if you put things into perspective, the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year, and they won the division this year. There are a lot of teams that would kill to have that opportunity. I look at it a lot more emotionally, as you can imagine, being a Philadelphia sports fan. Hey, I had expectations, and they fell very short of those expectations. So when you, from your vantage point, have watched the Eagles this season, what were some of your big takeaways about the Philadelphia Eagles franchise?
It's such a great question. Of all the 32 teams in the league, and I've said this to people I've talked to and on my show, they're very, and we'll get to Hurts, I'm sure, as well.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of the strangest situations for me in the league, and I'll explain. They win. They're always hanging around. They've got good players. They've got one of the, I think, a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator if we put assistant coaches in, which we should. They've been to 2 Super Bowls in, the last 5 or 6 years. Won one, had a chance to win the other. I mean, they're in the playoffs, yet we're disappointed. But for your city alone and the emotion, having played there, I think that's good. The bar in Philadelphia, and this isn't because I'm on here. When I was going on with Miss, John, you and I have talked before.
Sure.
The expectations for this city, I think, raises the bar for all the sports teams there. Now, sometimes they may be a little unreasonable because we all are. Listen, I'm a Raider fan, so I don't want to hear any Philadelphia bitching and complaining about their team. I'm too long. But I do get it because you sit there and say, man, is this need a wholesale change? That's kind of in Philadelphia. A bunch of coordinator changes. They get the right coordinator in Kellen and Vic, and boom, they go back and win a Super Bowl. This year, struggled again on the offensive side of the ball, yet you look at the offense, you say, well, man, they won a bunch of games. They were in the playoffs, had a chance. So what is missing? So the sum's pretty good. I just think some of the pieces that are fitting in didn't have the year they wanted. I'm not trying to simplify it, and I understand the emotion because I, too, expected more. Yet here's a team that gets to the playoffs every year, wins a division, and is wearing the most recent ring in the NFL. So what was it? I don't think there's a lot missing on defense, guys. A little bit of health. I think the offensive line for me was not nearly going into last year. Detroit, Philadelphia, there's 3 or 4 teams that dominated the line of scrimmage. Front 7 on defense, offensive line. And you're not winning championships, not just you, anybody. The Super Bowl winner this year ain't winning by finesse. They'll make some finesse plays, but it'll be because they punched you in the face and hit more body blows than they did finesse spectacular plays. You got to play some boring football. And Philadelphia does that, and I think that's part of the problem is the spectacular wasn't there enough this year. Production down in the run game. Production down in the offensive line. Not having Lane Johnson, the attitude. There was just something missing from a tough town and the expectations. And 10 games is not enough in Philadelphia because of all the winning. And I get it. Winning 11 games or getting eliminated in the playoff rounds, not enough. So, and the quarterback, I still think there's some mechanical flaws that got to be better. Yet, he's a Texas guy. I love him. High football IQ, wins, usually plays really good in big moments. But I think Jalen Hurts has to have things going great around him for his game to be great. Does that make sense?
Sure.
There's certain guys that can load, like when Favre or when Elway could load you on their back for a month, or we've seen Mahomes do it, Josh Allen, that even if everything else went to hell in a handbasket, they could survive it. For Jalen, I think the run game has to be going well. You have to mix in play action. You have to use his legs. He just can't sit back there and throw. And at the end of the game, when he bailed a couple times when he didn't need to, and the throw down the middle on the bender route that was thrown late, if he throws it on time, that ball is caught. And so the little small things they didn't detail enough this year that they're used to doing. They're not far away. Healthy, a player here, a player there. So I think they'll be fine, but there's things that need to get done if they're going to get back and playing in February again.
Sean, does Nick Sirianni, when you see him on a sideline and you watch him coach a game or otherwise, does he remind you of any coach that you ever played for or was playing against?
I'm sure I have never met him in person. I try to guard, and maybe you guys can help me with this. When he first came in, remember that first press conference? We're all like, oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
The Cheesemo part of it. And a couple years later, he's at a Super Bowl. Then they win a Super Bowl. So we're like, oh, maybe that's the way to go. Okay. Well, the Dan Campbell tough guy when he got the job, and then Sirianni doing his stuff. And we said the same when it happened with Liam Cohen this year. The Duval right. The Cheesemo factor. And we're like, dude, just coach some football. But, played it, and their team was good too. So, I don't know if there's one name I could put on it. I think we all have certain stuff that we judge or we look at people. And, Nick he's done some stuff that's uncharacteristic, going up to the fans in the stands when they're booing him, and then they turn around and win a Super Bowl. So, you know what? I guess you'd have to be in the building to be around what his personality's like in the building as opposed to sideline demeanor. I used to be much bigger in body language with players and coaches, and then Eli, who, the body language sucks, goes and wins 2 Super Bowls, right? And it's like, so sometimes it can be misleading. I've never had a chance to sit down and talk with him, so I don't know if what I see in the building is different than what I see on the sidelines. I'm more of like the way Denny Green did it. Turn over your coaches, coach them. But when you want something done, you say, get this done. Denny's idea was if he wanted a certain play on third down, he didn't tell the coordinator what to do. He said, give me your best run, which meant to Brian Billick or whoever was calling the plays that don't throw the ball here. You call what you want, but don't throw it. And he didn't throw it. So I don't know his demeanor, but I know it's up and down. But I can tell you this, there's very few that get the heat, whether it's deserved or not. For a guy that's been to, 2 Super Bowls in 4 years, won one, that's rare. Most of us are like, oh, we'll take that, man. You get some hall passes. And I love this about Philadelphia fans. I do. They don't give hall passes.
Right.
And I never got to play there, but I feel like I would have loved playing there simply because in those type of towns, the expectation. Listen, I grew up in California. I don't care what people say as a California guy. The expectations upon players are different, and the passion is different. It just is from where I grew up to now. I mean, to the East Coast and Philly. It just is. And I love them both. They're different, but expectations they place on their players, and they don't like excuses. And that's one of my favorite things. While other people, Philly and the fans, I love it. And I think the players know that with that extra pressure. And if you're not built for it, it ain't for you. And that's another big reason why I like the fans and the pressure. That's why they fix it quick as well, and they got a good owner. And a great front office. Great front office.
Sean Salisbury with us here on Kincade and Salciunas, host of Unpaved. You can check it out on YouTube every day at 1 o'clock Eastern. Sean, you started talking about Jalen Hurts and how you love him, and the situation seems to have to be good for Jalen Hurts to succeed. There are people that will either use that to try to diminish what he's accomplished, but then there's also people that get offended when somebody says it. So I'm curious. I want you to sort of talk more about that. Who Jalen Hurts is a quarterback and what he needs around him in order to succeed.
Well, and guys, I don't have skin in the game when it comes to being his agent or buddy or, living in the city and championing the cause. I just look at it from a quarterback standpoint, a fan, how if I was coaching him, and results. First, let's get this very clear. If people that want to replace somebody, you better be damn well sure that the guy you want out, that the guy coming in is good enough to replace him. Now, listen, they've got a really good backup quarterback. I know that. But I also know around the league I was a backup quarterback at times when people were pining for me, and yet the guy in front of me, Rich Gannon, went on to be the MVP with the Raiders and was a great player. It happens. And we always want that other guy. And then when they get in, it's like, well, can he do the other things? And maybe he can. We don't know. But I wouldn't take Jalen Hurts for granted. There's some things he needs to get better. But, guys, think about it. What do you ask for your quarterback? Win. For the most lead. Maximize the room, which this year maybe that didn't have meaning. Make guys around you better. And people say, well, how does that happen? Somehow it just does. People elevate when they're around certain people. And they've done it for Jalen in the past. But what I mean by good players is think about last year's run, and let's just say a Super Bowl. What did they do in that Super Bowl? They were physical. They ran the ball all year long extremely well. Even though they didn't get a lot of yards, they got a lot of attempts and perceived production from the position from Saquon in that game, so they had to defend it. It's Spagnuolo and the team, which led to play action. Him using his feet has to be minimum 5 designed runs a game for him, minimum, and using his feet because he's not going to drop back in that same spot without changing his launch point and beat you throwing it 40 times a game regularly. That's not his game. It's okay. It doesn't make him bad. It's not his game, but he does win. And then you saw when they pressure or he had single coverage, he hits the 2 fellas outside for big plays with, Brown and Smith last year for touchdowns. So but everything. And then their defense was putting them in good situations. It went well. I think when you have to turn it over and say, dude, we got to drop back and throw. I'm talking about consistently, not once in a while, and win. No quarterback really can get away with that. So for me, I think that's when things are going well. But when you have to say, dude, you got to go down, we got to throw. And he's not he's a physical kid and he's a smart kid, but he's not going to wow you with arm strength that Josh Allen or Matt Stafford have. But that can be overrated. 64% completion guy. You can live there because of the other things. But I think at times we get so caught up in structure and doing it this way that certain guys you just got to let step outside the box, and he's one of them.
Why don't
you think it's structure with Josh Allen every week? It's not. He's a physically gifted guy. So I think that sometimes we try to fit somebody into a hole that fits the coach. The greatest coaches in the world do this, and I think Kellen Moore did a great job as a coordinator. The best coaches, they don't make you adjust to them. The greatest coaches come in and say, I got this guy, I know what he does, this guy. They evaluate it and say, I got to adjust to what we do great, whether it's getting A.J. the ball, getting Saquon more in space in the passing game, Devontae quicker, whatever it is. And I don't think they did a great job of that offensively. It felt all year long like it was a grind to get in rhythm. And this is the first time in a handful of years, maybe it's been sooner than that, but that I looked at that team and said, where's the identity offensively? Are they physical? Well, they're not as. Is it Saquon this year? Well, not as much. Is it Jalen and the MVP in the biggest game of his life? No. Or is it two perimeter receivers? Offensively, you tell me their identity. They didn't know their identity, and it cost them offensively because they weren't nearly as explosive, and you could defend them bandwidth-wise much easier this year because of the way they went about their offensive business. I thought they were very average for the most part offensively, and they're better than that.
Sean, I'm never inviting you on again unless you have an opinion. Seriously, if you can't find an opinion somewhere, like, you're never coming on again. Seriously.
Oh, well, you know what? I promise next time I'll be even more boring than I was today, brother. Anything you need.
Love you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. We appreciate the time, man.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, check out his podcast. It's awesome.
Yeah, Unpaved. Thanks, There is Sean Salisbury. He has a lot to say. I told you, we said it
Sean,
40 minutes ago.
You can put your feet up with Sean.
Yeah.
And he unleashes, and he's such a great dude.
And look, he loves Jalen, but he also recognized. I felt like, how old is Sean Salisbury?
Played in the 90s. So.
I'm thinking 62.
All right, other than the NFL background, I felt like I was listening to my 60-year-old self-talk.
He is, let me just.
I'm serious. Like, Jalen Hurts has limitations. I love him.
62. Yeah, 62.
The Eagles' offense with other coordinators have been able to make it work. Kevin Patullo could not. Hurts can't carry the team. Like, all these things. They didn't have an identity, which is a problem. All these things that we talked about for months are the reason why you lost. And Sean kind of just put it there.
Very important with everything, though. And it's not just the quarterback. And quarterback is his thing, right? Because he played it at a very high level. But what he said about his time with Rich Gannon and, hey.
The Tanner McKee thing.
You damn well better make sure, whether it's quarterback, OC, head coach, the last guy on the roster. If you're going to replace somebody,
get it right.
You better be sure they're better.
Which is why tomorrow's going to be an interesting day. Because
really
tomorrow is the take logic out of it conversation, even though some logic has to be in there. Because when we did the Sirianni day yesterday, the reason why we could have that conversation is because, like, a guy like Kevin Stefanski is indeed available as a head coach. Name me the quarterback. I don't want to spoil my take for tomorrow. Name me the quarterback that you're going to be like, yeah, that's the guy. Like, you need to make it work with Jalen. You need to.
You need to. And there are people yesterday saying to me, like, it's time to move on from Jalen. I'm like,
for who?
Move on to what?
I don't want to spoil the show tomorrow.
Like,
but,
seriously. Like, you have to make it work.
I have the main thing. But sometimes, like, Connor, I'll give you a 1% chance it's Sidney Sweeney.
Hell yeah. That's 1% more than anybody else.
But the 99% chance it's not happening. I would love Josh Allen or Joe Burrow. It ain't happening. I mean, I guess there's a chance if the Eagles offer, like, every draft pick that they have. It's not happening. All right, coming up next, we'll get your reaction. A lot of people want to chime in. Phone lines lit up during that conversation with Sean, so we'll check the phone line, 610-632-0975. Also, we talked about Todd Monken earlier today, who is a potential candidate for the offensive coordinator vacancy here in Philadelphia. NBC Sports Philadelphia gave you a list of 11 candidates. We'll go through those next, as well as your calls. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. FanDuel is turning on playoff mode. All customers get a profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Each game day during the divisional round, you'll find a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts waiting for you in the app. More boosts means more ways to level up your playoff bets so you can pick the matchups you believe in. Take your shot on an upset, build a parlay, whatever fits the moment. I like Seattle to cover the 7 against San Francisco. I think San Francisco won their Super Bowl, unfortunately, against our team here in Philadelphia. I also like the Rams to continue their push to the NFC Championship game, my team that I picked going into the playoffs. So apply your profit boost, go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs keep rolling. Visit FanDuel.com/local and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. 21 plus, present in Pennsylvania, opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-drawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Patullo out as OC. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles announced yesterday that they are moving on from Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator, a move that many thought was coming after the season ended for the Birds in the wild card round. Now, he's not fully fired. He could still remain with the organization in a different role, but there's no question as to why he's out. The Eagles were 19th in the NFL in points per game, 18th in rushing yards per game, 23rd in passing yards per game under Kevin Patullo. Just didn't get the job done. Adam Schefter, who joined us earlier today, talked yesterday on ESPN with his reaction to the move.
It'll be the 5th straight season that they're making a change at offensive coordinator. It is yet another new offensive system and play caller for Jalen Hurts. They now have to go out and hire somebody.
And they've gotten some of those right over the years, some of those very wrong. Now you have a major coaching position to fill as the offseason gets going for them. The Sixers host the Cavs tonight at 7 p.m. Edgecombe and Embiid, George, all probable. You can hear that game live here on the Fanatic. Flyers are in Buffalo taking on the Sabres at 7:30 p.m. You can hear that game live over on our sister station, WMMR. This update is brought to you by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MADD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MADD-HELP or visit MADD.org. I'm Connor Thomas for your home of the Sixers, Flyers, and the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Fanatic.
The final hour of Kincade Salciunas is presented to you by The Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. You need details? Go to Bagster.com.
I just saw a response on Twitter from Jimmy Scoops. His bio, Go Birds, Eagle emoji, in response to the Adam Schefter, A.J. Brown comment. Do we have that available, Connor? We had Adam Schefter on earlier today, obviously, to talk all things Eagles. We got into the offensive coordinator and what the search might be. And then, we had him on, so I figured we might as well ask about some of the key players. And I asked him about A.J. Brown. This is what he had to say.
Well, I think he becomes a trade candidate here. There's been enough noise around that with him wanting out. There's been enough focus and attention in that area. I think it would be a surprise if there weren't talks to see, okay, well, what could he bring back? To me, I see him playing in New England next year under Mike Vrabel. That would make a lot of sense to me. So the Patriots have been in the market for a wide receiver for a while. Vrabel probably ruled the day that they ever traded A.J. Brown. Different guy, but I could see the Patriots rolling the dice on a guy like that. I think that his name will come up. I expect it to come up in trade talks this offseason.
So Jimmy Scoops on Twitter responded with a gif of Jalen and A.J. dapping each other up, and he said the Eagles are not trading A.J. Brown. I feel like it's inevitable at this point.
Well, if Jimmy Scoops has it.
No, I mean, all jokes aside.
How would somebody be that definitive to say it's not?
I feel like Jeremy Fowler told us in October that he believed there could be a change of scenery, both sides kind of like, all right, it's kind of run its course. We don't hate each other. It's just, it is what it is.
I want to know how it's going to work financially.
It's a big, yeah, I know.
I don't know. I honestly, I don't believe it is a sure thing he's being traded by any stretch.
I wish he's back. It's just, you have to deal with the drama, and that wasn't fun this past year.
Well,
he's a very talented player. I know he didn't have as good of a year. He's still very talented.
He has an offensive coordinator that maybe he believes more in. But honestly, I think he showed his true colors this year as far as the kind of teammate he is. And though he's a good person, I think he can be a good person and not a great teammate.
Sure.
Because his teammate behavior on Sunday was crap.
He should not be a captain. And
it was terrible.
What are you gonna do? Strip him? You can't.
It was terrible.
That's the thing, right? There's all this logic to it of why would you trade away that caliber of player? What does the money mean and everything? But at the end of the day, the base level of everything, it's relationships. Whether it's the NFL, whether it's your job, wherever you're working today, and tell me right now, gut feeling, where this relationship from both sides between A.J. Brown and the Philadelphia Eagles feels like it's going.
It feels like it's going.
I think it's going to a divorce.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the Eagles have to be in a position. The Eagles aren't going to do something that doesn't benefit them.
Hey, divorces are expensive.
Yeah, they ain't cheap, but they get done.
Real life and in football.
They aren't going to do something that totally sinks their 2026 season. They're not going to do that.
That's what logic would tell you, but
no, they're not going to.
If that relationship's frayed, they're going to find a way.
No, but they're not going to sink a season to say, "Wow, we're going to punt on 2026 and just screw our salary cap and worry about 2027 just because we want to get rid of AJ."
No, but it's not. They want to get rid of him. There's two sides to this. What if he doesn't want to play here?
Well, then he's going to have to play here, or he doesn't play.
And then he holds out, and then
there is no holdout.
Hassan Reddick literally did hold out,
and then he loses all the money, and they don't care. You lose all that, then they don't care, and they don't lose the money, and they're fine.
Right, and then that could happen. That's something we saw 2 months ago.
A.J. Brown is an egotist. He is not holding out, guys. He's not. He is an egotist. He is a look at me person. He is totally wants every focus on him. The last thing he's going to do is do something to be out of the spotlight.
I would say holding out would provide spotlight.
A lot of spotlight.
We talked about
Did it cause any spotlight for Hassan Reddick?
Absolutely.
No,
we talked about it all the time.
No, it didn't cause him any spotlight though. Nobody was seeing him. Nobody was hearing from him. We talked about him because of sports talk radio.
Right.
But nobody was talking about him around the league. Nobody was dealing with it around the league. He was anonymous. It would be the worst punishment for someone like A.J. Brown is to be not talked about. That would be his absolute worst punishment, to not be the center of attention. What did he do on Sunday? He made himself the center of attention, even as he's ducking out because he wouldn't stand up and be accountable.
Hang on. So Sunday, his decision was to not talk and leave,
And look
and
what
he
we're doing.
became the spotlight. So holding
and that
out
was
is
to be
doing that exact
no,
thing.
because he made himself the center of attention. And then what does he do on locker cleanout day? Again, make me the most talked about person. I'm not going to, but I'm going to leave everybody here. Let me do this very visible here. Let me leave. Could have given every player in private could have been given his A.J. Brown jersey.
Right.
Instead, they're hung up very public. So let everybody see the pictures of the A.J. Brown autographed jerseys hung up.
That's very in line with holding out to me.
A.J. wants to be watched. He's going to want, and nobody holds out in the NFL and misses out in a whole season of paychecks. He can miss out a little bit. The only Hassan Reddick was an absolute buffoon for doing it, and it absolutely backfired miserably. Backfired.
I'll give you the list of the 11 candidates that NBC Sports Philadelphia wrote, but let's go to Sean in West Philly. Sean, you're on the Fanatic.
Yo, what up,
What's up, Sean?
How you doing, Sean?
Hey, nothing, man. Good morning, man. I ain't talked to you guys. I don't know if I ever talked to you.
Well, welcome, dude. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Good to have you on, buddy.
You too, brother. You too. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Well, guy, Sean Salisbury was really good, but he made a lot of points that I had made talking to your producer this morning in terms of, I'm disappointed, and I felt all the same things that everybody feel, initially. But I'm feeling like listening to you guys, and it helps. But also, we just won a Super Bowl, and I can stomach it better knowing that. You dig? And I think that's kind of
you have every right to feel that way. It's just not how I go about it. In 2018, the 2018 season when the Eagles won Super Bowl 52, I feel like the majority of the city was that way. I was the ass face that was saying, I want more. I was the guy that people were saying, you're not appreciating this enough. No, I appreciated it so much that I wanted more of it.
Right. And trust me, I wasn't I wasn't this way until, damn near yesterday. Because I thought we could have really won another Super Bowl back-to-back. But, as you already laid out, there were, circumstances here and there that prevented us from doing that. And I can say circumstances as opposed to trying to go into everything because I've already processed it to be like, all right, chalk it up, 2026, here we go. Also, I hope that nobody else in the NFC wins the Super Bowl now. I mean, I guess that's where I'm at. I turned into hater mode now.
So, you're going to hate watch the rest of the way. Thanks for the call, Sean. We appreciate it,
buddy.
Look, I'm glad that Sean has that perspective on life. I don't. And I will speak about my perspective on life. And my perspective on life was I had a really fun time Friday night. I want to have another good time Saturday night. Maybe not anymore because I'm 32 and I'm washed. But when I was in college of age and I would have a great Thursday night, I wanted to have a great Friday night, and I wanted to have a great Saturday night. And then I would day drink Sunday.
That's because you could do it.
Keep the party going.
Right.
The Eagles ended the party. The party never really started for me because I thought it was a pretty bad party to begin with. And that upsets me. When you had all the right drinks, you had the great environment, you had the nice club, you had it all. But the people running the joint, they screwed up. They hired the wrong band or DJ or whatever. And the party sucked. The lighting was bad. The guests weren't good. This party sucked this year, even though they had all the other right makeups of it, because the roster was pretty much the same. 10 of 11 starters returned on offense.
Super Bowl champions.
And they lost to the Niners in the first round.
Oh.
All right, your candidates. Obviously, there's some that we've already talked about. Todd Monken, Mike McDaniel. Stefanski, they write, I think he's destined for a head coach.
He's one of the most sought-after head coaching candidates.
Sign me up. Offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, we can't. You're
Sign me up.
You're not getting him. Spoiler alert, you're not getting him.
Cliff Kingsbury, intrigued, but not my number one. Brian Dable. Nate Schulhase is the guy that we talked about a little bit yesterday. He was with Iowa State, and he has worked under Sean McVay. He was their pass game coordinator. So that's the McVay tree. As is Zach Robinson. So here's a name I've never heard of. 39-year-old, former Sean McVay assistant. Began his coaching career as the quarterback's coach with the Rams in 2019. He spent the last 2 seasons as the offensive coordinator with the Falcons. That hasn't necessarily gone well. Was that his fault that they forced Penix on him? I don't know.
No, but do not want him. Do not, zero chance.
The Falcons' offense didn't do anything.
I
for
do
me to
not
be
want
like,
him. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Kafka, of course, a name that's out there. Frank Reich, a name that we've talked about a lot. Here's 2 others. David Shaw.
Yeah, he's the old coach of Stanford.
53-year-old. He was a head coach of Stanford back-to-back 3-9 seasons.
Sounds good.
What?
At Stanford.
He had a that's crazy. He was amazing at Stanford.
After 12 years where he went 96
he was
and 54.
Amazing at Stanford.
It ended poorly at Stanford.
Plus the Tanner McKee connection.
Well, yeah, he was amazing at Stanford.
And the J.J. Arthega-Whiteside connection.
He's not
right?
anymore.
Yeah,
he held the umbrella for him back in the day.
That's really slanted there on him.
And then Mike LaFleur, who is the brother of Matt LaFleur. He is of a coaching tree, both Shanahan and McVay. And he's been the Rams offensive coordinator since 2023. But he doesn't call plays.
But if he comes here, then you have a defense against the tush push getting banned because will Matt LaFleur do that to his brother?
Oh, maybe.
See, these are the second level thoughts.
He might not like it. Mike LaFleur might not like the tush push.
I'll tell you right now, I want a guy with head coaching experience before, because that to me says someone who's maybe more likely to stay if that didn't go well for them, but also can take more control.
Well, one of these first-time offensive coordinators, one of these bright guys, and I like some of the young names, most likely, if you just go by timelines, so Dork Boy was looking last night at some of the timelines, they don't tend to get a head coaching job first year. So we have that thought of, you get a guy who's going to be good and then he's going to get a head coaching job. They don't tend to get a head coaching job 1 year as an OC. So they tend to be OCs for multiple years. So if you're hiring one of these first-timers, you're probably getting them for 2. I'd be fine with that.
Sure.
If you like the OC and you like what they bring to the table. I just don't want Nick's interference.
Wow.
I don't want them having to run Nick's offense. Vic Fangio gets to run his style of defense the way he wants it.
It works.
I want an offensive coordinator that comes in here and gets to run their style of offense the way they want it. That's what I would prefer.
All right, coming up next, where were you when? That and your texts and calls. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Kincade and Salciunas, 6 to 10 a.m. Middays with Marks, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And unfiltered from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. The best sports talk for the best sports fans in the world. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Cold weather can be tough on a house, so don't put your home projects on ice. Our team of preferred pros is here to help keep your home warm, safe, and ready for anything the season brings. From heating and plumbing to repairs and junk removal, our team of reliable experts have you covered. Make this winter easier, one project at a time, with preferred pros.
Clogged drains, leaking sinks, no hot water? Ace Hardware Home Services has got you covered. Schedule fast expert plumbing service at acehardwarehomeservices.com.
J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling. We haul it all. Proudly veteran-owned, committed to community, and honored as Business of the Year. Call 610-297-0070.
Cut your energy bills with geothermal heating and cooling from Water Furnace, New Jersey. New state incentives make it more affordable than ever. Learn more at waterfurnace.com/New Jersey.
Check out Preferred Pros today. This paid program is sponsored by businesses highly rated by actual customers. For more details, visit 975thefanatic.com.
Never have I ever called my sister from the finish line of my first marathon. Hello? You won't believe where I am. Are you running?
you, Ray Dunn. You'll be able to hear Ray on Middays with Marks coming your way at 10 o'clock. Been a spirited day today, thanks to Zach Berman and Angie DeCecco telling us, hey, if you put things into perspective, look, they won the Super Bowl last year. They won 11 games and won the division this year. If I put things into perspective, they were supposed to do that, considering the talent that they have, the push to win in this city, the push to win by management of the Philadelphia Eagles. And it didn't happen because they hired an offensive coordinator that had absolutely no idea what he was doing. Was it all on him? No, it wasn't. But did he put them in the right position? Nick Sirianni told you 100 times that they never did.
Yep.
So if I put it in perspective, they should have won 11 games, if not more. They should have hosted a playoff game, if not a higher seed. They should have won a playoff game, which they didn't. Period.
Bottom line.
I'm not. That's like the perspective I look at.
And it's nothing. That's not arrogant. That's not bold. That's nothing. That should be absolutely easy to figure out.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, if we go back to 2023 and we listen to Detroit beat writers talk about the Lions season, anyone who called that a wasted year would have been called crazy. But where have they gone? Injuries, lose as the 1 seed in 24, miss the playoffs altogether in 2025. You lose coordinators, the roster changes. As much as 11 wins is a nice season compared to the Raiders or Jets, missed opportunities with a team that's championship caliber could cost you windows.
They can.
Yeah.
I mean, and Dan Campbell cost them that 23 season.
They did.
And Kevin Patullo cost the SARS.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. All right, I'll get to the where were you when here momentarily. Let's go to Matt in Havertown. Matt, you're on Kincade Salciunas.
Hey.
What's up?
So I have kind of two opinions. First one is the offensive coordinator. I am extremely happy that Patullo is out of there. I had a really hard time watching the Eagles offense without wanting to throw something at my TV while he was calling plays. And the second is on A.J. Brown. But when it comes to our OC, what I really believe is to keep Jalen from, not developing at all is we need to hire, a proven offensive-minded person, but we need to have one that won't leave after one season, because how can a quarterback develop if every single time he has a successful OC, he's suddenly leaving?
Yeah, but and I totally get what you're saying, Matt, and that's why we were wondering, hey, do you hire a Frank Reich who might not be a head coach ever again? But if you also hire the right guy that gets that other head coaching job, that means you probably won something, right? And think about it. Steichen left after getting to a Super Bowl. Kellen Moore leaves after winning the Super Bowl. Would you not take those appearances?
I would. Yeah, I would take those. I would take those appearances. It's almost like it's a double-edged sword. You want something, but then you want a good play caller who might last, but then if you get a good play caller who's going to leave, so it's like you can't have the best of both worlds.
That's what we want, though. And you want that. You want that problem. That's first world problems.
Yeah, that's the first world problem. And then the thing on the A.J. Brown is he wants out of there. I mean, that's been, you can kind of see that, especially after the interaction with Nick Sirianni. One of the things I have is what are we gonna? That's the money hit, the dead cap money that we're gonna hit. That's a big.
Yeah, it's going to crush them. The trade would have to happen post June 1st. Thanks for the call, Matt, because it splits the dead cap hit over a span of 2 years, as opposed to if you trade them before January 1st, they eat $48 million. It's
going to crush them, so you can't do it where you're going to pick up for draft picks, and things like that for this year's draft. It's going to crush. I'm going to tell you right now, the Eagles are going to would take a absolute bath if they do trade him. I don't understand why they would.
Yeah. All right, where were you when? Yesterday, Mike Tomlin steps down as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I put out the tweet, if you are 56 years old, you've seen 3 coaches in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers in your lifetime. 3 coaches. That's wild in 56 years. Mike Tomlin, January 27th, 2007 was when he was hired. So, Connor, you and I were in middle school.
Yeah, seventh grade.
Incredible.
We were in middle school when Mike Tomlin was hired as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You were in the ATL.
I was in the 7th year of Buck and Kincade. It's
Liv would have been born, right?
Yeah,
Because I have a 10-year.
Liv was a kid. So she was,
very, very little kid.
She was born in 2003.
Phillies had not won the World Series yet. We were on that span of 100 seasons where there was not a championship in Philadelphia.
The Phillies got the division that year, though.
That year, yeah.
And then lost to Colorado in that horrible series.
I was in
Kaz
private
Matsui.
school in a class of like 7 people at that
That's
point.
really crazy. It was like Little House on the Prairie
Yeah, pretty much.
in New Jersey.
Yeah, Mount Laurel. Small
That's
school.
incredible, though.
So some big keys in January of 2007. The number one song, top 100 Billboard, was Beyonce's "Irreplaceable." Was the top of the top chart every week in January. That
I remember that.
Into February.
We had a top 40 station that was like literally right
and you probably
down
heard
the
it
hall
all the time.
Constantly.
It was finally replaced by
Burt Weiss.
Nelly Furtado's "Say It Right" in February.
Guess it wasn't irreplaceable.
Ooh.
Very good, Connor.
Very good
It's well done.
The highest grossing movie in January of 2007. Part of a trilogy, if you want to take a guess.
Was the
Forks
Hangover
of the
out
Rings?
then?
No, that was earlier. Night at the Museum.
Oh, hell yeah. Shout out
Number
Ben Stiller.
1, and then one of my favorite movies, Pursuit of Happiness, was second on that list for the 2007 top grossing movies in January. Balboa came in at number 9. That was the 8th movie,
Which was terrible.
of the. I actually liked Balboa.
It was horrendous.
I liked it. He came out of retirement.
Horrendous.
The Billboard Song of the Year for 2007 came out in January. "Lost Without You" by Robin Thicke came out at the end of the month in January.
And his mom?
I know nothing about the Thicke
His
family.
mom sang the Facts of Life theme song. How about that for you?
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows
Gloria
that.
Loring. There you go.
Best movie was announced in January 20th. It was The Departed, which obviously
really good movie.
People freaking love that movie.
It's a great movie.
And how about this? You and I appreciate this one, Connor. J.K. Rowling finished the final Harry Potter novel on January 11th of 2007.
Was she living in her car at the time?
No. She had already made all her
the other
money.
ones
So
that
she had
came
already
out.
made
This
all
was
her money.
years
She was
after.
in the Balmoral Hotel in Edinburgh.
Wow.
The real inspiration in all of this is that Zach Taylor somehow still has he's the only one left.
Oh, wait. January 9th, Steve Jobs announced the iPhone. I missed that one,
And
man.
remember, 30 years ago today,
Oh, yeah.
the Cowboys played in their last NFC title game.
That's it. Just 30 years.
Congrats.
30 years ago.
And now you
That's a
wonder
good
why
one,
I
man.
hate the Giants more than the Cowboys. All right. We have Middays with Marks coming your way next. I don't know who's in with Johnny today. John Marks, I know, is in. Ray Dunn, I know, is in. So that comes your way next. Back at it tomorrow. It's the Jalen Hurts day tomorrow that we were supposed to do today. Again, thanks to Zach, Bill, and Andrew for giving us content. We'll talk to you tomorrow.